Chapter 22-29. Yi Xian was completely speechless. Damn it. No one would listen to you if you spoke the human language. You had to speak the lies. Shi Yuan's expression grew even more ferocious when he heard Yi Xian. How dare you insult me? Yi Xian sighed softly. I really didn't intend to insult you. You're just too fucking stupid. I can't take it anymore. I really think that even Tian Yi is smarter than you. He's just arrogant, but you're really an idiot. Tian Yi was speechless. Shi Yuan was about to speak when Shi Ru suddenly spoke in a low voice, Patriarch, don't lose your mind. He was able to discern that Shi Yuan's mind was in a state of chaos, and it was extremely dangerous. Because it was easy to make a wrong decision at a time like this. Don't make a decision while angry. Shi Yuan slowly closed his eyes when he heard Shi Ru, and his expression started to gradually calm down. Needless to say, he was really infuriated by Yi Xian. That swordsman is truly infuriating. Shi Yuan opened his eyes. At this moment, his mental state had returned to normal. Meanwhile, Yi Xian suddenly said, Patriarch Shi Yuan, do you still have more of that divine lightning of time from before? Give me some more. Shi Yuan's face twitched when he heard this, and his eyes turned red. His defenses had almost been broken through. Divine lightning of time. That was something that he had refined bit by bit over the years. He'd spent tens of thousands of years. After all, even he didn't dare rashly enter the river of time. Because it was truly too terrifying. Every single time he entered the river of time to refine divine lightning of time, he'd been extremely careful because he was deeply afraid of making a mistake and losing his life. After tens of thousands of years of accumulation, he'd finally refined a bolt of divine lightning, and he'd utilized it as the core to strengthen it. It could be said to be one of his strongest trump cards, and even experts in the same realm of cultivation would find it difficult to resist it. He'd utilized the divine lightning of time with the intention of killing Yi Xian. However, he hadn't expected that Yi Xian would actually absorb it. Tens of thousands of years of hard work had been given to someone else. Thinking of this, Shi Yuan's heart bled. In the distance, Yi Xian suddenly laughed and said, Patriarch Shi Yuan, what kind of expression is that? Was it just a bolt of time divine lightning? Do you have to be so petty? Ah! Shi Yuan suddenly roared, Yi Xian, even if the person behind you is truly invincible, I will definitely kill you today. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly vanished on the spot. Chi! The space-time in front of him exploded, and a terrifying aura swept over. In his rage, Shi Yuan's strength had actually become even stronger. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. His body was still frantically absorbing the energy. It was not a good time for him to make a move. But he had no choice but to act. Right at this moment, a spear suddenly blocked in front of Yi Xian. Boom! The spear trembled violently, and then it was bounced off. But in the next moment, a hand grabbed it. Yi Xian turned his head. The person who attacked was precisely Enlanxiu. When he saw Enlanxiu, Yi Xian was stunned. Little Enlanxiu's expression was calm. Breakthrough in peace. As soon as she finished speaking, she held her spear and walked towards Shi Yuan. Yi Xian didn't waste his breath and directly returned to Xiao Ta. When he arrived in front of Dao Ling opened his eyes and glanced at Yi Xian. Brother Yi, what are you? Yi Xian said indifferently, breaking through. Dao Ling was stunned, and then he said, Time? Yi Xian nodded. Dao Ling hesitated for a moment, and then he said, Brother Yi, I remember that you're only at the outer realm. You haven't even attained Vipassana. Yi Xian frowned slightly. Who said that one can't cultivate above one's realm? Dao Ling's expression froze. Yi Xian blinked. Brother Dao Ling, have you never cultivated above your realm before? Dao Ling was speechless. Yi Xian said, Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and cultivate. My wife might not be able to hold on for long. As soon as he finished speaking, he slowly closed his eyes. Dao Ling was silent for a moment, and then he asked again, Brother Yi, what you said just now about cultivating above one's realm, is that true? Yi Xian nodded. Dao Ling frowned slightly. That doesn't make sense. Yi Xian sighed softly. There are no obstacles in cultivation. It's just that the human heart is too complicated and has too many thoughts. That's why there are obstacles in cultivation. If you can be as pure and flawless as I am, you can do it too. As soon as he finished speaking, he discarded all distracting thoughts and began to concentrate on absorbing the time god thunder. Pure and flawless? Dao Ling glanced at Yi Xian and frowned slightly. This brother Yi didn't look like a pure and flawless person. Instead, he was a little shameless. Or could it be that being shameless could make one pure and flawless? As he thought of this, Dao Ling secretly decided that he would try being shameless in the future. Outside. Shi Yuan looked at the approaching Anlanxiao and frowned slightly. Who are you? Anlanxiao didn't waste any words. She directly disappeared on the spot, and her spear tore through the sky like lightning. Vipassana? Shi Yuan frowned slightly when he saw this. A Vipassana dared to attack him? Shi Yuan flicked his sleeve. Bang! Anlanxiao was forced back along with her spear. However, Shi Yuan also retreated explosively. Shi Yuan's eyes were filled with disbelief. In the distance, Anlanxiao didn't waste any words. She suddenly charged forward, and the spear in her hand suddenly left her hand. Chi! A cold light instantly arrived in front of Shi Yuan. Besides being fast, Anlanxiao's spear also carried an aura of invincibility. A cold light flashed in Shi Yuan's eyes. He opened his right hand, and a spear appeared in his hand. In the next moment, he charged forward and stabbed out with his spear. Head on. In the past, he was also a spear cultivator. Of course, he didn't focus on the spear Dao. At his level, weapons were dispensable to him. Bang! A wave of spear light suddenly erupted, and in the next moment, both of them simultaneously retreated explosively. As she retreated, Anlanxiao slowly closed her eyes. In the next moment, she suddenly stomped her right foot on the ground. The starry sky trembled, and she stopped. She looked at Shi Yuan who had also stopped, and then she opened her red lips. Martial Dao, godly connection. Bang! A terrifying aura suddenly swept out from her body, and a powerful aura instantly swept through the starry sky. In an instant, Anlanxiao's aura rose explosively. She hadn't reached the time realm, but her aura was infinitely close to the time realm. In the distance, Shi Yuan's expression became extremely unsightly. Secret technique. Anlanxiao looked at Shi Yuan. She didn't waste any words and suddenly disappeared on the spot. Bang! The starry sky was directly torn into countless pieces. At this moment, although Anlanxiao wasn't at the time realm, her strength was infinitely close to it. After all, even though she didn't have as many resources as Yi Xian, she was still martial god An's disciple. How could she not have any trump cards? Anlanxiao's spear attack caused Shi Yuan's expression to instantly change drastically. Because he noticed that Anlanxiao's spear attack could actually destroy matter. It can destroy matter even without the energy of time? Shi Yuan was quite stunned. He was sure that Anlanxiao's attack didn't contain any energy of time, but the might of her spear attack could destroy matter. That's even possible? Shi Yuan felt like his brain wasn't strong enough. At this moment, Anlanxiao's spear had arrived in front of him. A ferocious expression flashed through Shi Yuan's eyes. I refuse to believe it. As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately put his spear away and clenched his right fist. In an instant, the starry sky around him trembled, and then some time energy surged towards him. As soon as the time energy appeared, the starry sky here gradually became illusory. Shi Yuan suddenly charged forward, die. As soon as he finished speaking, he smashed his fist forward. Rumble. It was like an earthquake had struck the heavens and the earth, and the entire starry sky instantly collapsed and was obliterated. Meanwhile, the powerful force within his fist surged towards Enlanxio's spear. It was a head-on collision. Bang! As soon as the spear and fist collided, it caused the world to be obliterated, and a strand of force instantly swept out. In the blink of an eye, the starry sky in an area of hundreds of thousands of kilometers was instantly obliterated. Even the dark matter here was forcefully obliterated and ceased to exist. On the other hand, Enlanxio and Shi Yuan retreated explosively at the same time. As soon as the two terrifying forces collided, they created an even stronger force, and both of them were unable to resist it at all. As he retreated explosively, Shi Yuan suddenly roared furiously, "Kill her! Kill her!" At this moment, Shi Yuan was finally in slight panic. Because he noticed that while this woman didn't possess the energy of time, her strength wasn't weak to the energy of time. It was truly too terrifying. First it was Dao Ling, then it was Yi Xian, and now it was this woman. Three extraordinary monstrous geniuses. This caused him to feel slightly terrified. He had to eliminate them. At this moment, he didn't intend to crush them on his own and establish his prestige. The reason he'd chosen to fight Yi Xian and Enlanxio in single combat was because he wanted to crush them on his own and establish his might. However, he hadn't imagined that both of them were actually more monstrous than the other. He absolutely couldn't allow the three of them to grow. As soon as Shi Yuan finished speaking, the two time realm experts in the distance suddenly vanished on the spot. In the distance, Enlanxio, who was still retreating explosively, frowned slightly, and then she suddenly swept her spear. Rumble. The spear light had just appeared when it was directly shattered, and Enlanxio retreated explosively once more. In the blink of an eye, she'd retreated over 100 kilometers away. However, before she could even stop, a strange afterimage soundlessly appeared behind her. Another time realm expert. Including Shi Yuan, there were a total of 4 time realm experts. As soon as that strange afterimage appeared, Enlanxio's pupils constricted, and then she swiftly turned around and swept her spear forward. However, this spear strike directly missed. Enlanxio was shocked. She didn't even turn around, and with a twist of her wrist, her spear stabbed backwards. Bang! A cold light suddenly exploded from behind Enlanxio, and then an afterimage retreated repeatedly. Meanwhile, a deep saber mark had appeared on the back of Enlanxio's neck. However, this wasn't the end of it. A time realm expert suddenly appeared above Enlanxio, and then he suddenly stomped down. Bang! The space where Enlanxio was directly collapsed, and then Enlanxio directly fell from the sky, falling into the world of death. As soon as she entered the world of death, her body directly exploded, turning into nothingness. And at this moment, another afterimage quietly appeared, and then a cold light swept towards Enlanxio's throat. Enlanxio's eyes widened. At this moment, she could no longer block it. The combined attack of 4 time realm experts, how could she block it? Chi! That cold light directly flashed past Enlanxio's soul. Bang! Enlanxio's soul directly disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. She was truly being erased. Enlanxio looked into the distance, a bit dazed. Was it going to end just like this? She was somewhat unwilling, somewhat regretful, but it was finally over. Enlanxio slowly closed her eyes. Chapter 2230. Just as Enlanxio was about to vanish completely, a sword suddenly appeared and entered her soul. Bang! Enlanxio's soul trembled violently. Her soul that was about to vanish was locked down by a mysterious force, and then it gradually condensed. This sword was the profound green sword. Yi Xian had suddenly appeared beside Enlanxio. His expression was unusually calm as he looked at Anlancio, whose soul was so weak that it was almost transparent. Anlancio looked at Yi Xian. The four of them can't beat me. Yi Xian nodded. I understand. As he spoke, he gently stroked Anlancio's face and said gently, heal first, leave the rest to me. Anlancio nodded. Okay. After speaking, she entered Xiao Ta. Yi Xian turned around. At this moment, Shi Yuan was staring at him. Shi Yuan looked at Yi Xian with shock in his heart. Just now, that woman's soul had been heavily injured by the power of time. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for her to survive. However, he was shocked to discover that after the sword entered the woman's body, it actually protected her soul. Strange. Terrifying. Shi Yuan was incomparably shocked. Just who was this young man Yi Xian? Why was the sword he carried so heaven-defying? Such a divine object, even in the heavenly cycle universe, was definitely a peak existence. But why had he never heard of it? At the same time that Shi Yuan was shocked, he also felt more and more puzzled and uneasy. An unknown uneasiness. At this moment, he was already riding a tiger with no way out. It wasn't just him, the Shi clan was the same. Facing such a terrifying genius, they could only strangle him in the cradle and prevent him from growing. If they didn't kill the tiger, they would be devoured in the end. They had to eliminate the roots. Thinking up to here, Shi Yuan slowly clenched his right hand. At the side, the other three-time realm experts also locked their gazes onto Yi Xian. It wasn't just Shi Yuan, the three-time realm experts were also feeling somewhat terrified and uneasy. The talent these three people displayed was truly terrifying. If they were allowed to grow, it would be the end of the Shi clan. Shi Yuan suddenly said, "Kill! Kill!" As the sound of his voice faded, the four of them directly charged at Yi Xian. In the distance, Yi Xian slowly closed his eyes. At this moment, he had yet to reach the time realm. After all, if he had continued to break through just now, Anlancio would have died. In the world of death, four flowing time realm powerhouses attacked at the same time. How terrifying was that? If they were outside, any one of these four people would be able to destroy an entire universe. However, at this moment, the four of them attacked together for the sole purpose of killing Yi Xian. They didn't want to continue dragging things out. Things might change if this dragged on, so they had to kill Yi Xian. Only then would they be at ease. The best way to face fear was to destroy it. Yi Xian suddenly opened his eyes. He opened his palm, and a sword light flew over and landed steadily in his hand. Boom! Yi Xian had directly reached the flowing time realm. Although he had not directly broken through to the time realm, he had broken through to the insight realm. And he could use the Qingxian sword to raise his cultivation by 2 realms. After reaching the flowing time realm, Yi Xian's aura continued to skyrocket. Very soon, his aura reached the peak. Boom! In an instant, the world of death suddenly trembled. In the distance, the expressions of Shi Yuan and the others changed. What the hell? This guy's aura had already surpassed the flowing time realm? Right at this moment, the distant Yi Xian suddenly swept out with his sword. Qi! As this sword swept out, the space within the world of death rippled. In the next instant, a wave of sword light fell like a waterfall. Boom! Shi Yuan and the others, who had rushed in front of Yi Xian, were directly pushed back by this wave of sword light. And with this retreat, they actually directly exited the world of death. The 4 of them looked at Yi Xian, whose aura was still skyrocketing in the world of death, dumbfounded. Was he going to break through to the flowing time realm? The 4 of them felt that this was a bit absurd. What was above the flowing time realm? No one knew. Because in the entire heavenly cycle universe, the highest cultivation level was at the flowing time realm. And this flowing time realm was because of Qin Guan. If it weren't for Qin Guan, they wouldn't even be at the flowing time realm. Before Qin Guan, the strongest cultivators in the heavenly cycle universe had been at the peak of insight. However, although there were no flowing time realm cultivators at that time, Shi Yuan and the others were still the peak super experts of the heavenly cycle universe. Moreover, they were different from ordinary insight cultivators. They were also working hard to break through the limits of insight, wanting to reach a higher level. However, walking the path of others and opening one's own path were two completely different things. And after Qin Guan mentioned that the flowing time realm could be controlled, these peak experts instantly felt enlightened. They found a brand new cultivation path, and that was the power of time that Qin Guan had mentioned. Through cultivating the power of time, they could reach the flowing time realm, surpass the material realm, and surpass the myriad of Daos in the world. However, no one knew that the reason why Qin Guan mentioned the flowing time realm and discovered that he could control time was because of the Qingxian sword. The Qingxian sword contained the power of time. Qing didn't create a cultivation level, because she was no longer interested in these cultivation levels. However, she was very clear about the path that Yi Xian had to walk. Therefore, she left the power of time in the Qingxian sword to give Yi Xian a direction. And what was special about the Qingxian sword? It was to increase 2 cultivation levels. Yi Xian could increase 2 cultivation levels at any time. Now that Yi Xian had reached insight, increasing 2 cultivation levels was naturally above the flowing time realm. And what was above the flowing time realm? Yi Xian didn't know, but he knew that he would find out soon. Yi Xian's aura grew stronger and stronger. In the blink of an eye, his aura reached a peak. After a few more breaths, a terrifying aura swept out from his body like a volcanic eruption. Boom! In an instant, the realm of death began to boil, and then it was destroyed. A mysterious and terrifying force had appeared within this aura, and as soon as it appeared, the surrounding flowing time energy actually became illusory. The flowing time energy was actually unable to resist this terrifying force. What sort of force is this? Outside, when Shi Yuan and the others saw the scene in front of them, they were shocked like soulless statues. It really is above the flowing time realm. The young man before them has actually reached the flowing time realm. It's absurd. Can it be played like this? Suddenly, a pained expression appeared on Yi Xian's face, and it didn't take long for his features to warp as if he was enduring some sort of intense pain. Meanwhile, Soul spoke with horror, "Young lord, quickly return to the flowing time realm. That force is too strong, and you can't endure it right now." Hearing this, Yi Xian did not hesitate in the slightest. He immediately stopped and suppressed his cultivation level to age. He had no choice but to stop. If he didn't, then he would really die. That force was even more terrifying than the flowing time energy, and it wasn't something he could endure right now. When facing this force, he was like a 10-year-old holding a Qin Guan's "Don't mess with me." Even though it was powerful, the recoil was truly unbearable. His enemy might die with a single shot, but he would definitely die as well. However, this was normal. He'd crossed 2 realms in one go, and he was definitely unable to endure the force that exceeded his normal cultivation. It was just like eating. If a person were to suddenly overeat and eat a few times or even 10 times the amount of food they should eat, then it was very likely that that person would be stuffed to death. When his cultivation returned to the flowing time realm, Yi Xian instantly felt much better, and the mysterious force around him had vanished as well. At this moment, Shi Yuan and the others were beyond shocked. The scene from before had overturned everything they knew. Flowing time. The young man before them had actually crossed 2 realms in succession and reached the flowing time realm. He was too abnormal. Right at this moment, Shi Ru appeared by Shi Yuan's side, and he stared fixedly at the green profound sword in Yi Xian's hand. "Patriarch, it's because of that sword." The reason he was able to rise by 2 realms in succession was all because of that sword. If we can obtain that sword, The gazes of Shi Yuan and the others instantly burned with desire when they heard this. The sword. Yi Xian himself wasn't terrifying, it was the sword that was terrifying. So long as they obtained the sword, then it was entirely possible for them to reach the flowing time realm. So long as they could reach the flowing time realm, then wouldn't they be invincible? When they thought up to here, Shi Yuan and the others exchanged glances, and then they charged towards Yi Xian. Seize the sword. At this moment, their objective wasn't just to kill Yi Xian, they also wanted the green profound sword in Yi Xian's hand. On the other side, Shi Tian watched silently from the side, and he didn't speak. He hadn't spoken since the beginning, and no one knew what he was thinking. Yi Xian suddenly opened his eyes, and he frowned slightly when he saw the four of them charging towards him. In the next moment, he charged forward and swept his sword forward. He was fighting four by himself. It was a battle of brute force. Rumble. An expanse of sword light suddenly exploded within the realm of death, and then Yi Xian retreated explosively. Even though his strength had increased greatly, it was still difficult for him to resist the joint forces of four people. After all four of them were at the flowing time realm, and they weren't weak at all. Yi Xian had just retreated when he suddenly frowned, and then he swiftly turned around. Meanwhile, an afterimage flashed over, and then a cold ray of light swept towards his throat. It was extremely swift. Yi Xian blocked it with his sword. Bang! Yi Xian instantly retreated hundreds of thousands of feet away. At this moment, several terrifying forces attacked him from behind. A ferocious smile arose on the corners of Yi Xian's mouth, and then he swiftly turned around and slashed repeatedly with his sword. This slash directly overlapped with over 60,000 sword lights. In an instant, the sword lights were like a waterfall that blotted out the sky. Rumble. The sword lights shattered as soon as they appeared, and the powerful force caused Yi Xian to retreat repeatedly. As he retreated, his body actually started to burn. The strength of three flowing time realm experts was simply too great. So, he was retreating too quickly, to the point that his body couldn't endure this speed, and then it started to burn. Right at this moment, a hand suddenly pressed down on Yi Xian's body. Bang! A powerful force directly pressed Yi Xian to the spot. Yi Xian turned around and saw that it was Dao Ling. Dao Ling's expression was calm, and his gaze was deep as if it could pierce through the stars. Flowing time. Yi Xian knew that this digger had reached the flowing time realm. Dao Ling smiled slightly. Brother Yi, leave the rest to me. Watch carefully, watch my performance. As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished on the spot and charged towards Shi Yuan and the others. Bang! In an instant, the powerful force caused the world of death to tremble. At the same time, Shi Yuan and the others suddenly vanished on the spot as well. A moment of silence ensued. Rumble. A world-shaking explosion resounded abruptly, and then a figure retreated explosively, and he'd retreated for over 100 kilometers in an instant. It was Dao Ling. As soon as Dao Ling stopped moving, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Moreover, his body had even shattered. Dao Ling was slightly stunned. Shi Yuan gazed at Dao Ling. Do you think that the four of us are very weak? Dao Ling was speechless. Yi Xian gazed at Dao Ling. Brother Dao Ling, please continue your performance. Don't stop. Dao Ling was speechless. Chapter 22:31. Dao Ling felt quite embarrassed. He'd really underestimated Shi Yuan's group of four. As far as he was concerned, he should be invincible in the same realm of cultivation once he attained the time realm. After all, he'd always been invincible in the same realm of cultivation. But he was wrong this time. Because he'd overlooked something, and it was that it wasn't just one expert at the time realm before him, but four. He had a very good chance of winning in a one-on-one battle. But the problem was that it wasn't a one-on-one battle. Four experts. Regardless of whether it was Yi Xian or Dao Ling, none of them had a chance of winning. Because Shi Yuan and the others weren't idiots. Right at this moment, the distant Shi Tian suddenly said in a light voice, "This is my clan." All of them turned around to look at Shi Tian when they heard this. Since the beginning until now, they'd overlooked Shi Tian's existence. After all, Shi Tian was an extraordinary monstrous genius. Meanwhile, Shi Tian suddenly chuckled, "I think it's quite sad." "How sad?" Shi Yuan and the others frowned when they heard this. Shi Tian roared with laughter, "For the clan? Patriarch, all I see right now is greed." The expressions of the experts of the Shi clan became unsightly when they heard this. Shi Yuan stared fixedly at Shi Tian, "Do you know what you're saying?" Shi Tian smiled, "Of course I do." "For the clan? Patriarch, you make everything sound so righteous, but you're actually just greedy and have no bottom line. The battle for karmic luck is a battle between the two of us, and it doesn't involve the clan at all. However, you just had to use the clan to suppress them, causing a simple matter to become complicated, and you even dragged the entire clan down with you. Now, you've led the entire Shi clan down a path of no return. If we don't kill them, then the clan will be in danger in the future. If we kill them, then wouldn't the clan be in danger as well?" As he spoke, he pointed at Yi Xian and said, "How could that sword in his possession be forged by an ordinary person? Even if the Zhou clan mobilizes its entire clan, it's impossible to forge that sword. If all of you kill him, then will all of you really be able to resist the creator of that sword?" Shi Yuan's expression was quite unsightly. Actually, it wasn't that he hadn't thought about it, but it was just as Shi Tian had said. The Shi clan really had no way out now. He'd selectively overlooked these problems. Now, he could only walk to the end, kill Yi Xian, snatch the sword, and then break through. In the distance, Shi Ru sighed in a low voice, "Little guy, we shouldn't be talking about this right now. We should unite against the enemy." Shi Tian shook his head. "Teacher, you are wrong." Shi Ru was a little displeased. "The overall situation is more important." Shi Tian chuckled and said, "The overall situation is the most important? What is the overall situation of our Shi clan? Did he not want to make friends with a monster when he saw it, but wanted to destroy it? Everything has karma. Today, our Shi clan has killed the two of them. Teacher, do you really think that our Shi clan can bear this karma?" Shi Ru's face turned ugly. Shi Yuan suddenly mocked, "Make friends? Shi Tian, do you know what you're saying? You and the two of them are fighting for destiny, the destiny of the great Tao. You were born to be enemies, do you understand? Furthermore, at least half of what you have today is due to the family's nurturing. The family nurtured you. Why, are you questioning the family now?" Shi Tian looked at Shi Yuan, "I am not questioning the clan, I am questioning you." Shi Yuan's eyes narrowed when he heard this, and a cold light flickered within them. Shi Tian wasn't afraid in the slightest. "Shi Yuan, your eyes have already been blinded by greed. You wanted to kill the two of them because you were afraid that they would side with the Zhou clan, but you never thought that your current actions would push them into the embrace of the Zhou clan. Moreover, Shi Yuan, you want to seize the sword of the person of destiny. Let me ask you, have you ever thought about it carefully? Can you really bear this sword? Can an ordinary person bear such a heaven-defying divine treasure? Can my Zhou clan bear it?" Shi Yuan said fiercely, "Are you trying to boost the morale of others and diminish our own?" Shi Tian shook his head lightly. "I just don't want you to drag my Shi clan step by step into the abyss." Shi Ru sighed softly. "Shi Tian, what you say isn't without reason. But now, we should unite and face the enemy as one. Think about it, if we don't kill them today, would they let our Shi clan off in the future? At this moment, we have no path of retreat. We can only kill the two of them and eliminate this calamity." The rest of the elders also nodded in agreement. Presently, the Shi clan really had no path of retreat. Shi Tian fell silent for a short moment before he said, "Elders, I understand all of you, but I'm sorry, I don't agree with your actions. If I, Shi Tian, want to fight, I'll fight in an open and aboveboard manner, I'll fight in an upright manner, I'll fight in an open and aboveboard manner. What's the point of fighting for karmic luck in such a manner even if I win?" As he spoke, he glanced at the experts of the Shi clan. "You have your reasons, but I have my principles, and my principles don't allow me to act in this way." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and left. Moreover, his aura actually rose explosively with every single step he took. All of them were stunned by this scene. When he took the 10th step, his aura had arrived at an extremely terrifying level. In an instant, countless strands of mysterious energy surged towards him. The energy of time. It was the energy of time. The experts of the Shi clan were petrified. Shi Tian had attained the time realm. Shi Yuan's expression was extremely unsightly. Next to him, Yi Xian and Dao Ling looked at each other in silence. Shi Tian's actions really had exceeded their expectations. Dao Ling suddenly spoke softly. He adhered to his principles and his heart. He didn't choose to compromise in the end when facing his heart and his clan. Compromise. Yi Xian fell silent. A person would face many choices in their lifetime, and some choices might really go against their heart. However, those choices might also bring about benefits. At times like these, many people would choose to compromise. Just like the people of the mortal world. Many people would take risks and commit crimes in order to earn money. Did he not know that his actions were against the law? He knew, but his eyes had been blinded by benefits, and as time passed, it would blind his heart as well. Should he follow his heart and be a person with principles, or should he compromise with the world and do things that he really didn't like or even hated? Obviously, Shi Tian had chosen to follow his heart. If the clan was in the wrong, then it was in the wrong, and he didn't choose to follow it. However, he wasn't the patriarch, so he couldn't change it. If he rebelled now, then others would follow him, but the clan would kill each other. He chose to leave. Meanwhile, Shi Tian suddenly said, "If the clan is in danger in the future, then I'll definitely return." As soon as he finished speaking, he'd vanished. The experts of the Shi clan had complicated feelings in their hearts. He's gone. The number one genius in the history of the Shi clan had actually left. Did we do something wrong? But the patriarch hadn't done anything wrong. Both of them were monstrous geniuses, and they were Shi Tian's enemies since birth. If they weren't annihilated now, then when? Considering the overall situation, the patriarch hadn't done anything wrong. Had Shi Tian done anything wrong? Shi Tian had his own principles and pride, and he didn't want to win the battle for karmic luck in such a manner. Was that wrong? Shi Yuan suddenly spoke fiercely. Shi Tian betrayed the clan. From this moment onward, he's no longer a member of the Shi clan. Some of the elders gazed at Shi Yuan with expressions of disbelief. Expel Shi Tian from the Shi clan? All of them were old geezers who'd lived for so many years, so how could they not understand what Shi Yuan was thinking? Shi Yuan wanted to seize this opportunity to solidify his own authority. All of them were quite displeased. Shi Ru suddenly spoke in a low voice, "Patriarch, Shi Tian didn't say anything about withdrawing from the Shi clan. Don't you think your actions are slightly inappropriate?" Shi Yuan glanced coldly at Shi Ru with killing intent in his eyes. "Are you doubting me?" Shi Ru didn't show any weakness. "What? Patriarch, do you intend to make the Shi clan your own?" Some of the Shi clan's elders gazed at Shi Yuan with slightly hostile expressions. Shi Yuan suddenly gazed at the three-time realm experts nearby. "At this moment, we have no path of retreat. All of you know what the consequences will be once the chosen of heaven, Dao Ling, and that woman from before grow up. Moreover, if the three of them leave today, they'll definitely be used by the Zhou clan. If we don't annihilate them today, then our Shi clan will definitely be annihilated by them in the future. Make your choice. The three-time realm experts fell silent. A short moment later, the old man in the lead spoke in a low voice, "There's no path of retreat." As he spoke, he gazed at Yi Xian, "Kill him, seize his sword, and break through." Break through. If at the start they were really doing this for Shi Tian and the Shi clan's future, then at this moment, they were doing it for themselves. Because when they saw Yi Xian use that sword to break through to the realm above time, they were tempted. Above time. This temptation was something they couldn't refuse. No time realm expert could refuse this temptation. Hearing the old man's words, Shi Yuan nodded slightly, "Then kill." As he spoke, he gazed coldly at the surrounding Shi clan experts. "Whether it's right or wrong, we won't care about it today. Let time be the witness. Let me tell you, even without Shi Tian, Shi Yuan can already lead the Shi clan to glory." The Shi clan experts fell silent. Resist? They couldn't resist at all. Because the four-time realm experts had already chosen to stand on Shi Yuan's side. Let alone them, even if Shi Tian was here, he wouldn't be able to resist. Only those with bigger fists had the right to speak and make decisions. Shi Yuan gazed at the distant Yi Xian. "Shi Tian said that I can't bear the karma of killing you, but I don't believe it. Many years ago, a fortune-teller told me that my life was tough. So, I want to give it a try today. I want to see if I, Shi Yuan, and the Shi clan can bear this karma." In the distance, Yi Xian turned to look at Dao Ling. "How many do you want to fight?" Dao Ling thought for a moment, and then said, "2. Yi Xian blinked. "I thought you would be domineering and say that you can fight 4. Dao Ling hurriedly shook his head. "No, no. Brother Yi, it shouldn't be a problem for us to fight 2 each, right?" Yi Xian was just about to speak when 2 terrifying auras suddenly appeared in the darkness. Seeing this, Yi Xian and Dao Ling's expressions changed. Another 2-time realm experts. In the distance, Shi Yuan looked at Yi Xian and Dao Ling and sneered, "What? Do you think that my Shi clan only has 4-time realm experts?" Yi Xian turned to look at Dao Ling. "How many do you want to fight?" Dao Ling hesitated for a moment, and then said with difficulty, 3. "I'll fight 3, you fight 3. It's fair." Yi Xian nodded. "You go first." Dao Ling nodded. Without thinking too much, he directly charged towards the 3-time realm experts in the distance. And at this moment, Yi Xian suddenly turned and disappeared into the horizon. He slipped away. In the distance, Dao Ling, who had already reached the 3-time realm experts, froze. F***ck. P.S. If there's free tiger food, I'll grind it. Chapter 2232. Flee. Yi Xian decisively chose to flee. 1 against 3? That wasn't realistic. Not to mention 1 against 3, he wasn't even fully confident in his ability to take on 2. Moreover, he still hadn't completely absorbed the energy within his body. He had to find a place to stop and absorb it. Moreover, his intuition told him that the Shi clan definitely had more trump cards. The Shi clan couldn't possibly reveal all of his trump cards at once. Seeing Yi Xian flee, Dao Ling didn't hesitate to turn around and flee. Both of them were extremely fast, and they tore through space and vanished on the spot in the blink of an eye. All the experts of the Shi clan were stunned by this scene. They fled just like that? Shi Yuan suddenly said fiercely, trying to run. "You guys are dreaming." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly charged forward. Hiss. Space and time were torn apart, and in the next moment, Shi Yuan and the others vanished into the distance. Shi Ru and the others didn't give chase. They weren't able to participate in a battle of this level. Inside realm experts were very strong in the outside world, but they weren't strong enough before time realm experts. If they gave chase, they would be giving their lives away. Shi Ru fell silent for a moment before turning around and leaving. He didn't return to the Shi clan, nor did he search for Shi Tian. Instead, he headed to the dark visualization universe. He wanted to personally investigate Yi Xian. A genius like Yi Xian was absolutely not an ordinary person. Especially that sword in his hand. Even the Zhou clan couldn't forge it. He wanted to investigate Yi Xian's origins. Shi Ru hadn't even entered the dark visualization universe when he was stopped by a mysterious expert. Shi Ru had a solemn expression as he gazed at the mysterious expert. Time realm. Shi Ru fell silent. He'd already guessed the other party's identity. The mysterious expert suddenly opened his right hand and pressed it down lightly. Boom! Shi Ru was locked down by a mysterious force, and then he was placed into a black pouch. The mysterious expert turned around, and a woman was walking over slowly from not too far away. It was the eldest young miss of the Zhou clan, Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu smiled slightly. It's too late to think about getting to know this young Master Yi in detail now. Obviously, she was stopping Shi Ru from investigating Yi Xian. The mysterious expert said in a deep voice, "Miss, why didn't we help Yi Xian and Dao Ling just now?" Zhou Yu shook his head. There is not much point in saving him now, because the hatred between them is not strong enough. Moreover, Shi Yuan has been secretly guarding against our Zhou clan. If we save him now, we will suffer great losses. The mysterious expert nodded slightly and said, "What's the background of that young Master Yi?" Zhou Yu said softly, "There's probably a terrifying existence behind this person that even my Zhou clan cannot afford to offend." The mysterious expert frowned. Zhou Yu chuckled. "Do you think I'm exaggerating?" The mysterious expert nodded. Zhou Yu smiled and said, "Actually, what I said might be an underestimation. That sword was able to allow young Master Yi to advance 2 levels in a row without any side effects. This in itself was already very, very heaven-defying. The most terrifying thing is that this sword can allow young Master Yi to reach beyond the passage of time." As she spoke, a complicated look flashed across her eyes. Before Pavilion Master Qin appeared, the highest realm in our heavenly cycle universe was the Insight Limitless realm. At that time, many people had no direction, and even my father was still pondering over it. After Pavilion Master Qin created the passage of time, the extreme insight realm in our heavenly cycle universe had a cultivation direction. But now, that sword of young Master Yi can help him advance beyond the passage of time. Speaking up to here, she shook her head. If this sword was created by Pavilion Master Qin Guan, it means that he has Pavilion Master Qin Guan's support. If it wasn't created by Pavilion Master Qin Guan, it means that the person behind him might be even stronger than Pavilion Master Qin Guan. The mysterious expert frowned. Even stronger than Pavilion Master Qin Guan? Zhou Yu nodded. Yes. The mysterious expert wanted to say something but hesitated. Zhou Yu smiled. That's not important. What's important is that regardless of whether the person behind him is Qin Guan or someone else, he is definitely not someone we can provoke. The mysterious expert said in a low voice, "Miss, our Zhou clan is not weak either." Zhou Yu laughed. "I know, but our Zhou clan is not invincible. The universe is boundless. Our Zhou clan is strong in this heavenly cycle universe, but it doesn't mean that we are strong in other places. Let's not talk about anything else. Pavilion Master Qin Guan definitely has the ability to destroy our Zhou clan." The mysterious expert hesitated for a while. "From what I know, Pavilion Master Qin Guan doesn't cultivate. Moreover, her immortal treasure pavilion is a business. There aren't many who fight." Zhou Yu shook her head. "She did say that she doesn't cultivate. However, if she doesn't cultivate, can she live that long? If she doesn't cultivate, can she ignore all the obstacles in the universe and cross star fields and universe?" The mysterious expert fell silent. Zhou Yu said softly, "I know her, but I still feel that she is a stranger. As she spoke, she shook her head. Let's not talk about Miss Qin Guan. Let's talk about Shi Tian. A cold light flashed in the mysterious expert's eyes. He has already left the Shi clan. Can we? Zhou Yu shook her head. No. The mysterious expert was slightly puzzled. Why? Even though he has reached the time realm, he has only just reached the time realm. Now that he has broken off relations with the Shi clan, it won't be difficult for us to kill him. Zhou Yu said softly, it isn't that simple. He has karmic luck. If we want to kill him, we can only wait for him to make a mistake. Or rather, we can only wait for him to court death. The mysterious expert said in a low voice, Eldest Miss, you seem to have some understanding of the three of them. Zhou Yu said with a smile, I heard from Qin Guan that the three of them and the other person are blessed by luck. If you want to kill them, you'll have to make mistakes and seek death themselves. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to kill them. The mysterious expert was slightly puzzled. The other person? Zhou Yu nodded, and her expression turned slightly solemn. Qin Guan said that there was another person. I asked her, but she didn't tell me. In other words, there's another mysterious genius who possesses the karmic luck of the Grand Tao. The mysterious expert fell silent for a moment before he said, What role will my Zhou clan play in this battle for karmic luck? Zhou Yu grinned. We'll stand on Yi Xian's side. The mysterious expert asked, Why? Zhou Yu said softly, a woman's intuition. Do you believe it? The mysterious expert was speechless. A short while later, Zhou Yu and the mysterious expert left. Not long after they left, a red-robed young man and an old man appeared here. The young man chuckled, Miss Zhou actually stopped Shi Ru from heading to the Dark Observer universe to investigate Yi Xian. Interesting. The old man spoke indifferently, the Zhou clan wants to kill the Shi clan. The young man nodded slightly. Old Gu, according to my knowledge, Shi Yuan is a genius of his generation. However, his actions can only be described as retarded. I'm very puzzled. The old man chuckled, he's been blinded by power and desire. Just think about it, Shi Tian is the next patriarch of the Shi clan. So long as Shi Tian reaches the time realm, then he'll have to relinquish his authority. Under such circumstances, do you think he would be willing? He would naturally be unwilling. Once power is in his grasp, how could he give it up so easily? It would be fine if Shi Tian was his son, but unfortunately, he isn't. Even if he is, Shi Yuan's breadth of mind and ability wouldn't relinquish his authority so easily. The young man spoke softly, at his level, he should understand that power is just fleeting, so why is he still so persistent? The old man shook his head. You're wrong. The reason he was able to attain his current level of cultivation is precisely because of power. Cultivation requires resources. Without the accumulation of the ancestors of the Shi clan, how could it have been easy for him to attain the time realm? Why are there so few time realm cultivators in the world? Is it because geniuses and monstrous geniuses are rare? No, there are many geniuses and monstrous geniuses, but not all of them are able to go very far. Resources and a platform are very important. The young man fell silent. The old man continued, Shi Yuan was blinded by his own desire and greed, forcing himself into a corner. The current him has no way out, he can only walk to the end. The young man smiled, Old Gu, what do you think about Shi Tian leaving the Shi clan? After a moment of silence, the old man said, Jun Xia, you might be able to defeat that Yi Xian and that Dao Ling, but you might not be able to defeat Shi Tian. Jun Xia narrowed his eyes, why? The old man said softly, Shi Tian was able to persevere in that kind of situation and adhere to his principles. He is a very remarkable person. This person's path towards the great Tao will go very far. Jun Xia smiled, I'm actually thinking of fighting with the three of them. The old man nodded, there will be a chance. Jun Xie nodded, as if he had thought of something. He suddenly said, earlier, that Yi Xian used that sword to reach the time realm. Hearing this, the old man's expression turned serious. Jun Xie smiled. I have to say, even I am somewhat tempted by that sword. The old man said in a low voice, you have your own Tao. Jun Xie laughed. I'm just a little tempted. As he spoke, he glanced at the depths of the starry sky in the distance and said, Old Gu, was the calamity that our evil spirit race faced back then also because of the patriarch at that time? The old man shook his head. Back then, it wasn't a man-made calamity. Jun Xie's eyes narrowed slightly. Then it was a natural calamity. Old Gu's expression became extremely solemn. Jun Xie, you are the last hope of our evil spirit race. You are not allowed to do anything before you obtain the great Tao karmic luck, let alone think about revenge. Jun Xie fell silent. Old Gu suddenly said sternly, did you hear that? Jun Xie slowly clenched his right hand. Old Gu, even with my current strength, I'm unable to contend against him. Old Gu stared fixedly at Jun Xie. The current you is still like an ant before him. Only by obtaining the blessing of the great Tao karmic luck will you be able to contend against him. Otherwise, you can never take revenge for our evil spirit race. No, you can't even mention it. Jun Xie said in a low voice, Old Gu, who exactly is he? After a moment of silence, Old Gu said, a terrifying existence that can resist the great Tao karmic luck's power of destiny. Chapter 2233. Resist the great Tao brush? Jun Xie's pupils constricted when he heard this. What was the great Tao brush? It was a divine brush that could decide the fate of all living beings. Yet, the other party was actually able to resist the power of the great Tao brush. At this moment, the old man suddenly sighed. Let's go. With that, he turned around and left. Jun Xie was silent for a moment before he left as well. He didn't ask who the other party was because it was meaningless. On the other side, Yi Xian and Dao Ling were fleeing madly through space-time. Even though they couldn't defeat Shi Yuan and the others, if they were to flee, Shi Yuan and the others wouldn't be able to do anything to them. After all, Dao Ling was at the time realm. Even though Yi Xian wasn't, he had the green profound sword. The two of them were extremely fast and had already passed through countless stars. However, Shi Yuan and the others were like maggots in their bones. Within spacetime, Dao Ling looked at Yi Xian. Brother Yi, where are we going? Yi Xian said solemnly, to the Zhou clan. Dao Ling hesitated for a moment and said, will the Zhou clan help us? Yi Xian said seriously, we are passing by the Zhou clan. There is no need for us to stay there. Understand? Dao Ling was stunned, and then he gave a thumbs up. Amazing. Passing by the Zhou clan. So long as they passed by the Zhou clan, Shi Yuan and the others would definitely pass by the Zhou clan as well. The two clans had always been at odds with each other. Would the Zhou clan allow Shi Yuan and the others to enter the Zhou clan? Definitely not. Thus, when they passed by the Zhou clan, Shi Yuan and the others would have two choices. First, retreat. Second, fight the Zhou clan head-on. No matter which choice it was very beneficial to the two of them. At this moment, Dao Ling suddenly said, Brother Yi, do you know how to get to the Zhou clan? Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, I don't think so. Dao Ling's face instantly darkened. Yi Xian felt his balls aching. Damn it. I actually forgot about that. How to get to the Zhou clan? Dao Ling glanced at the surroundings and said, if this continues, they'll catch up to us sooner or later. Yi Xian thought for a moment, and then he said, I have a way. As he spoke, he took out the Xiantian token and activated it. Soon enough, the Xiantian token in his hand emitted a low hum. Not long after, an illusory elder appeared in front of Yi Xian and Dao Ling. The elder bowed slightly and was about to speak when Yi Xian and Dao Ling disappeared into the depths of the starry sky. The old man was stunned. At the end of the distant starry sky, Yi Xian suddenly said, "Senior, how do we go to the Zhou clan? Point me in a direction." The old man's face froze, and he hesitated for a moment before he said, "Young Master Yi, all of you're going in the wrong direction." He naturally knew that it was Yi Xian who had summoned him. Now, in the Celestial Treasure Pavilion, only Yi Xian had the Xiantian token. At the end of the starry sky, Yi Xian's face turned as black as the bottom of a pot when he heard the old man's words. "Damn it! Wrong direction. We're going back." Yi Xian suddenly turned to look at Dao Ling. "Brother Dao Ling, I'll be leaving first. Take care of yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Xian used the green profound sword to travel back to the Shi clan. On the other hand, Dao Ling was dumbfounded. "Fuck. Brother Yi. Don't sell me out." Meanwhile, Shi Yuan and the others appeared in front of Dao Ling. Dao Ling hesitated for a moment before he said, "Everyone, that sword is in Brother Ye's hands. Moreover, he's heading to the Dao clan now. It's not too late for you to chase after him now." Yi Xian was speechless. The expressions of Shi Yuan and the others became extremely unsightly when they heard Dao Ling's words. After all, their true target was Yi Xian and the green profound sword in his hand. As for Dao Ling, of course, they couldn't let him go. Shi Yuan glanced at an old man at the side. In the next moment, the old man's group of 3 charged towards Dao Ling. On the other hand, Shi Yuan led 2 time realm cultivators back. In the distance, a wisp of ferocity flashed through Dao Ling's eyes. "Come. So what if it's 1 against 3? As soon as he finished speaking, he charged forward. Rumble. Space and time shattered, and Dao Ling retreated explosively tens of thousands of meters away. As soon as he stopped, he fell into the world of death. Moreover, his body gradually became illusory. The full-powered attack of 3 time realm cultivators was still very terrifying. Dao Ling's eyelids twitched when he saw the 3 experts of the Shi clan charging towards him again, and he hurriedly said, "No. I'm not coming anymore." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and vanished into the horizon. If it was in the past, he would have fought to the end. Even if he couldn't win, he would still fight. But now, he felt that it was better to be more wretched. As long as there's life, there's hope. The expressions of the 3 time realm cultivators instantly became unsightly when they saw Dao Ling flee again. They didn't hesitate to chase after him. On the other side, after Yi Xian used the green profound sword to return to his original position, he immediately used the green profound sword to pierce through the galaxy of time and space and rush towards the Zhou clan. He used the green profound sword to push his speed to the limit. In the blink of an eye, he had already passed through dozens of star fields. However, he still hadn't reached the Zhou clan. Yi Xian couldn't help but frown. So far? Without thinking too much, Yi Xian continued traveling. In the blink of an eye, he passed through dozens of star fields. Very soon, he frowned because he discovered that this was the direction to the mysterious observer cosmos. At this moment, space and time in front of him suddenly split open, and Shi Yuan and the other 2 walked out. They caught up. Yi Xian stopped and took out the mysterious heaven token. After a moment, an old man appeared in front of Yi Xian. The old man looked at Yi Xian and smiled. "Young Master Yi." Yi Xian looked at the old man. "The direction you told me isn't to the Zhou clan, right?" Shi Yuan ridiculed, "Of course not." The old man hesitated for a moment before he said, "Young Master Yi, the Shi clan isn't bad. There's definitely some sort of misunderstanding between you and them. Since it's a misunderstanding, then we can sit down and talk about it. There's nothing that can't be discussed. What do you think?" Yi Xian said with smile, it seems like sire is not from Immortal Treasure Pavilion but Shi clan. The old man smiled, I'm from the Celestial Treasure Pavilion. However, I'm not willing to see young Master Yi and the Shi clan having such a deep misunderstanding. That's why I lied about the route. I hope young Master Yi can understand. Yi Xian stared at the old man. Do you know what you're doing? The old man smiled and said, Young Master Yi, are you trying to use the Pavilion Master to pressure me? If that's the case, then young Master Yi will be disappointed. As far as I know, the Pavilion Master has already left the Heavenly Cycle universe. Yi Xian looked at the Tianxian token in his hand and fell silent. At this moment, the space in the distance suddenly split open. Bang! A mysterious figure walked out slowly. He wore a loose black robe, wore a mask, and held a black pike in his left hand. The expressions of Shi Yuan and the others instantly became solemn when they saw him. Who is he? Yi Xian's gaze descended onto the mysterious figure, and he secretly became vigilant in his heart. His aura was so formidable that it far surpassed Shi Yuan's group of 3. Meanwhile, the mysterious figure suddenly vanished on the spot and shot towards the old man from the Celestial Treasure Pavilion. The old man's expression instantly changed when he witnessed this scene, and then he clenched his right fist and smashed it forward. Bang! The expanse of space in front of the old man transformed into a huge abyss. An instant later, the sound of something tearing apart resounded, and then a pike pierced through the center of the old man's forehead. The expressions of Shi Yuan and the others instantly changed violently when they witnessed this scene. The old man was a time realm expert. He was killed just like that. The mysterious figure walked out slowly from afar. He gazed at the bewildered old man and spoke in a hoarse voice, You traitor. As soon as he finished speaking, he flicked his sleeve. Bang! The old man was instantly annihilated. The mysterious figure turned around to gaze at Yi Xian, and then he bowed slightly, Young Master Yi, I'm sorry for causing trouble for you. Yi Xian spoke in a low voice, You're one of Qin Guan's subordinates? The mysterious figure nodded. After the Pavilion Master found out that young Master Yi had arrived at Universe Expanse, she ordered the person in charge of the Celestial Treasure Pavilion here to give young Master Yi some convenience. However, she was worried that someone would disobey her orders in secret. So, she made me stand on guard here. Yi Xian hurriedly pointed furiously at Shi Yuan's group of 3, Kill them. Shi Yuan was speechless. The mysterious figure hesitated for a moment before he said, Young Master Yi, I'm sorry, but I can't help you. Yi Xian was slightly puzzled, why? The mysterious figure spoke in a low voice, Young Master Yi, the Pavilion Master said that this is a battle for karmic luck, and it's better for you to fight for it yourself. We can give you some convenience, but we can't help you fight. Otherwise, this battle for karmic luck would be meaningless. Yi Xian fell silent. The mysterious figure continued, Young Master Yi, farewell. With that, he was about to leave. Yi Xian suddenly said, You can give me some convenience, right? The mysterious figure nodded, yes. Yi Xian hurriedly walked over to the mysterious figure's side, and then he took out a Xiao Ta and placed it in the mysterious figure's hand. Senior, can you help me take care of this? The mysterious figure hesitated for a moment, and then he said, Just take care of this? Yi Xian nodded, yes. The mysterious figure nodded slightly, This is a small matter, of course. Young Master Yi, don't worry, this thing is in my hands, and no one in this universe can take it away from me. Yi Xian nodded, Then I can rest assured. With that, he directly entered the Xiao Ta, and then started to madly absorb the energy within his body that hadn't been completely absorbed. Seeing Yi Xian directly enter the Xiao Ta, the mysterious figure was stunned. The mysterious figure hurriedly said, Young Master Yi, I only promised to protect this pagoda, I didn't promise to protect you. Yi Xian was slightly puzzled, Senior, I didn't ask you to protect me. You just have to protect Xiao Ta, don't worry about anything else. Even if I get beaten to death, don't worry about it. The mysterious figure gulped, young Master Yi. You can't do this. Yi Xian had already closed his eyes. Time. He only needed a little bit of time to reach the Age Realm. Outside, the mysterious figure looked at the pagoda in his hand, and his expression was somewhat chaotic. Can it be played like this? In the distance, Shi Yuan suddenly said ferociously, Your Excellency, my Shi clan has always been on good terms with the Immortal Treasure Pavilion. Is it worth it for the Immortal Treasure Pavilion to become enemies with my Shi clan for a human? The mysterious figure hesitated for a moment, and then he said, Actually, it's quite worth it, Shi Yuan. Chapter 2234. Shi Yuan's expression became extremely unsightly when he heard this. The Immortal Treasure Pavilion. The strongest merchant group in the world was actually willing to offend his Shi clan for Yi Xian. He knew that Yi Xian was an extraordinary VIP of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion and had obtained the favor of Pavilion Master Qin Guan. However, he still felt that it was impossible for the Immortal Treasure Pavilion to become enemies with his Shi clan for Yi Xian. After all, how stupid would one have to be to become enemies with an extraordinary power for a single person? In any case, he couldn't do it. So, he felt that even the extremely intelligent Qin Guan wouldn't be able to do it. But now, Qin Guan had actually done it. Is Qin Guan an idiot? Shi Yuan cursed in his heart. The mysterious man was quite speechless as well. He agreed to protect Xiao Ta, but now, Yi Xian is in Xiao Ta's arms. What should I do? Meanwhile, Shi Yuan spoke in a low voice, My Shi clan and Yi Xian are irreconcilable enemies. I can tell you clearly that my Shi clan will absolutely not make any concessions. If you insist on interfering in the enmity between my clan and him, then my clan will have no choice but to declare war on the Immortal Treasure Pavilion. A declaration of war. When they heard this, the two powerhouses from the Shi clan beside Shi Yuan were stunned. A declaration of war against the Immortal Treasure Pavilion? How could Shi Yuan dare to do that? One of the elders spoke in a low voice, Patriarch, you need to calm down. He noticed that there was something wrong with Shi Yuan's mental state. Shi Yuan stared fixedly at the mysterious man. He was betting that the Immortal Treasure Pavilion wouldn't really declare war on the Shi clan for Yi Xian. The mysterious man spoke in a low voice, Are you sure? Shi Yuan spoke fiercely, I'm sure. His intuition told him that the Immortal Treasure Pavilion would definitely compromise the Shi clan. How could the Immortal Treasure Pavilion possibly declare war on the Shi clan for Yi Xian? How could that be possible? It was absolutely impossible. The mysterious man nodded, I'll contact the Pavilion Master. As soon as he finished speaking, he opened his palm, and a talisman suddenly floated up into the air. A moment later, the starry sky above him trembled slightly, and then a figure appeared above everyone. It was Qin Guan. Qin Guan stood in an unknown bamboo forest. Not far from her stood a woman. She carried a small bamboo basket on her back and held a sickle in her hand. She was currently discussing something with Qin Guan. The woman with the sickle had enmity in her eyes. She gripped the sickle tightly as if she wanted to attack. At this moment, Qin Guan suddenly turned around and looked at the mysterious man. What's wrong? The mysterious man spoke in a low voice, Pavilion Master, the Shi clan has declared war on my Celestial Treasure Pavilion. A declaration of war. Qin Guan frowned. Why? The mysterious man hesitated for a moment, and then he said, Perhaps they want to be annihilated. Qin Guan was speechless. Shi Yuan suddenly said, Pavilion Master Qin, my Shi clan must kill Yi Xian today. If your Immortal Treasure Pavilion refuses to stop us, then my Shi clan can only declare war on your Immortal Treasure Pavilion. Qin Guan thought for a moment, and then she said, Patriarch Shi Yuan, this is a battle for karmic luck. You don't possess karmic luck, so why are you interfering? The mysterious man suddenly said, he's afraid that young Master Yi and young Master Ling will join the Zhou clan, so he wants to annihilate them first. Moreover, he seems to want to seize the sword in young Master Ye's possession. Qin Guan's beautiful brows knit together slightly when she heard this, and then she gazed at Shi Yuan. Patriarch Shi Yuan, you're a time realm expert at any rate. Why are you acting so brainlessly? Shi Yuan stared fixedly at Qin Guan. Are you teaching me how to do things? Qin Guan was speechless. As if she'd thought of something, Qin Guan suddenly gazed at the mysterious man. Did you interfere? The mysterious man hurriedly shook her head. No, no. Young Master Yi asked me to protect his pagoda. I thought about it for a moment, and then I decided to protect the pagoda. There shouldn't be any problems. After all, the pavilion master said that he would give young Master Yi some convenience. But I never expected that young Master Yi would hide in Xiao Ta. At this point, even he was speechless. He felt like he'd been tricked. Qin Guan rolled her eyes. This fellow. Meanwhile, Shi Yuan suddenly spoke fiercely from afar. Pavilion Master Qin, will we fight or not? Just give me an answer. Qin Guan thought for a moment, and then she said, since you've declared war, then let's fight. As she spoke, she opened her palm, and a slightly strange weapon appeared in her hand. Within Xiao Ta, Yi Xian's eyelids twitched. This weapon was exactly what Qin Guan had said to him in the past, don't provoke me. Qin Guan aimed it at Shi Yuan. Patriarch Shi Yuan, are you sure you want to fight? I'll give you one last chance. It's not too late to surrender now. Shi Yuan roared madly with laughter. How laughable. Qin Guan, I thought you were a smart woman, but now it seems like you're a retard. My Shi clan gave face to your immortal treasure pavilion all those years ago, but you think we're afraid of you? How laughable. Come, let me tell you right now. My Shi clan will fight to the death with your immortal treasure pavilion. From this moment onward, my Shi clan will use all our strength to destroy your immortal treasure pavilion. In the starry sky, Qin Guan thought for a moment, and then she pulled the trigger. Bang! In an instant, a ray of white light surged out from the muzzle of the gun. The ray of white light actually ignored the layers of starry sky and arrived in front of Shi Yuan. A sinister look flashed in Shi Yuan's eyes. He folded his hands together, and a terrifying aura swept out from his body. At this moment, his aura had reached its peak. The starry sky boiled, and all things were destroyed. However, as soon as his aura came into contact with the ray of white light, it was like snow in boiling oil, instantly melting. Bang! Under everyone's gazes, the ray of white light pierced through Shi Yuan's forehead. It didn't disappear, but disappeared at the end of the starry sky, rumble. Shi Yuan's body seemed to be nailed to the ground, and his body started to turn illusory bit by bit. Shi Yuan was stunned. Gone? I'm gone. He was insta-killed. The two Shi clan experts beside Shi Yuan had faces full of shock, and their bodies couldn't help but tremble. At this moment, they were completely dumbfounded. Shi Yuan was at the Year realm. And he was insta-killed by Qin Guan just like that? Shi Yuan looked at the distant Qin Guan and said with a trembling voice, You. What the hell are you holding? Qin Guan blinked. Don't provoke me. Shi Yuan's throat rolled, and then he said, You're so powerful. Qin Guan chuckled. It's not bad, it's not bad. Shi Yuan, Qin Guan turned to look at the woman in front of him, and then he said, About the matter I mentioned just now, let's discuss it again. The little girl glanced at the divine object in Qin Guan's hand, and then she said, No. There's no need to discuss it. Whatever you say. As she spoke, she hesitated for a moment, and then she put away her scythe. You're right. Fighting is indeed not good. We should have a good talk. Women can't hit other women, don't you think? Qin Guan. In the starry sky, Shi Yuan's body became more and more illusory. He knew that he was going to be completely gone. At this moment, Shi Yuan's face was filled with confusion. The approach of death caused his mind to calm down a little. He had lost the bet. The Immortal Treasure Pavilion didn't put the Shi clan in their eyes at all. Shi Yuan looked towards the end of the starry sky. Suddenly, he shook his head and smiled. His smile was somewhat miserable. It had to be said that he had indeed been blinded by power and desire. Now that he thought about it carefully, how could this Yi Xian be an ordinary person? Just as Shi Tian had said, even if he killed Yi Xian and obtained the green profound sword, could his Shi clan bear the consequences? He had lost his mind. Shi Yuan suddenly said softly, Shi Qian, go and find Shi Tian. Tell him to come back and lead the Shi clan, Shi Qian said in a trembling voice. Clan leader. Shi Yuan shook his head. I'm sorry. As soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared completely. Shi Qian and Shi Tian fell silent for a moment, then they turned and left. Kill Yi Xian? They didn't dare to. The most important thing now was to find Shi Tian and rebuild the Shi clan. At this moment, Xiao Tu suddenly trembled slightly. Then, Yi Xian walked out. At this moment, he had reached the time realm. Yi Xian looked at the mysterious person in front of him. The mysterious person hesitated for a moment, then said, Young Master Yi, you reached the time realm just like that? Yi Xian nodded. The mysterious person was speechless. What the hell? Just now, he was still looking into the time realm. Why was cultivation as easy as drinking water? Yi Xian put away Xiao Tu, then said, Senior, thank you. With that, he turned and left. The mysterious person said in a deep voice, Young Master Yi, where are you going? Yi Xian didn't even turn his head. Exterminate the Shi clan. The mysterious person. On the other side, Dao Ling was being pursued crazily. He still couldn't fight 1 against 3. Fortunately, Dao Ling wasn't weak either. He fought while running, and he could barely hold on. At this moment, Dao Ling suddenly stopped. The space-time in front of him split open, and Yi Xian appeared before him. Seeing Yi Xian, Dao Ling was stunned at first, then he was overjoyed. Brother Yi, Yi Xian looked at the 3 Shi clan experts in the distance. The 3 suddenly turned and disappeared into the horizon. Obviously, they already knew what happened to Shi Yuan. Seeing the 3 people suddenly leave, Dao Ling was slightly puzzled. He turned and sized up Yi Xian, then said, Brother Yi, you've reached the time realm? Yi Xian nodded. To the Shi clan? Dao Ling frowned slightly. Why are we going to the Shi clan? Yi Xian said indifferently, that Shi Yuan is dead. Now, the Shi clan is leaderless. Kill them. Dao Ling said in a deep voice, Shi Yuan is dead? How did he die? Yi Xian opened his palm, and the green profound sword appeared in his hand. He casually waved the green profound sword in his hand, then raised his eyebrows. What do you think? Dao Ling hesitated for a moment, and then said, You killed him? Yi Xian smiled proudly, but he didn't speak. Dao Ling, Yi Xian suddenly said, Brother Dao Ling, I've also reached the time realm now. If we join forces, exterminating the Shi clan will be as easy as snapping our fingers. Shall we go? Dao Ling thought for a moment, and then said, Brother Yi, even though Shi Yuan is dead, most of the top-rate experts of the Shi clan are still alive. I'm afraid it'll be quite dangerous for us to go to the Shi clan like this. Yi Xian said seriously, what's there to be afraid of? Both of us are top-rate geniuses in this world. With our strengths, do we have any opponents in the same realm as us? No. None at all. Let's go. Kill the Shi clan. As soon as he finished speaking, he dragged Dao Ling and headed straight for the Shi clan. In the starry sky. Dao Ling glanced at the sword in Yi Xian's hand. Brother Yi, this sword of yours is really good. Where did you buy it? Yi Xian said, my younger sister forged it. Dao Ling hesitated for a moment, and then he said, Brother Yi, you and I are brothers, so your younger sister is my younger sister. There's no problem with me saying that, right? Bang! Suddenly, a ray of sword light descended from the depths of the starry sky. Dao Ling didn't even have time to react before the ray of sword light pierced his head. Rumble! Dao Ling's body shattered, and his soul vanished at a speed visible to the naked eye. Dao Ling was dumbfounded. What's wrong with me? Who am I? Xiao Ta suddenly said, it's one thing to play around, but don't make fun of his younger sister. In the Milky Way. In a small room, a sigh suddenly resounded. You can't do that. He has the great Dao's karmic luck on him. You can't kill him recklessly. At this moment, the Xing Dao sword suddenly appeared in the small room. Then, Qing Er's voice resounded. Say that again. The room fell into silence. Have you guys seen a cartoon, The Adventures of the Little Carp? And the Go Boy? Did I expose my age? Chapter 2235. In space, Yi Xian saw Dao Ling's soul disappearing at a speed visible to the naked eye. He hurriedly said, Qing forget it. He's one of us. Boom! The sword light in Dao Ling's body shot up into the sky and disappeared at the end of the galaxy. Dao Ling was still in a daze. Brother Yi, that sword just now, Yi Xian said calmly, as Xiao Ta said, it's one thing to play and one thing to mess around, but don't use my sister as a joke. Dao Ling, after a while, Dao Ling's body returned to normal, but he was still very weak and needed to heal. The plan to attack the Shi clan had to be put on hold for now. Yi Xian was also speechless. After a long while, Dao Ling said solemnly, Brother Yi, may I ask, what is your sister's realm? Yi Xian said calmly, no realm. Dao Ling frowned. No realm? Yi Xian nodded. No realm. She doesn't cultivate her realm. Dao Ling said solemnly, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Yi Xian said, how do you feel after she gave you that sword just now? Dao Ling, Yi Xian sighed softly. Brother Dao Ling, don't be so narrow-minded. The world is very big and there are many experts. We are all very insignificant. Dao Ling was silent. Yi Xian suddenly said, Brother Dao Ling, have you recovered from your injuries? Dao Ling looked at Yi Xian. Are we really going to attack the Shi clan? Yi Xian laughed. Of course. A gentleman's revenge is never too late, but I, Yi Xian, like to take revenge on the same day, unless I really can't beat them. Dao Ling, after a while, Dao Ling's injuries recovered. The two set off for the Shi clan. Along the way, Dao Ling was troubled. He had to admit that the sword just now had left him dumbfounded. He had never thought that one day, he would be insta-killed by a sword. One had to know that he was now at the Time Realm, one of the strongest experts in the world. However, he was almost killed in a second. It was too outrageous. Before long, the two of them arrived at the Shi clan. At this time, all the experts of the Shi clan had already returned. After the two of them entered the Shi tribe, Yi Xian did not say a word and directly slashed downwards. Qi! A huge sword Qi descended from the sky, slashing toward the Shi clan below. At this moment, an afterimage suddenly soared into the sky from below. Rumble! The sword Qi was directly shattered. An old man appeared before Dao Ling and Yi Xian. That old man was none other than Shi Qian. After Shi Yuan's death, Shi Qian became the acting patriarch of the Shi clan. Shi Qian looked at Yi Xian and didn't waste any words, sacrifice the array. Boom! In the Shi clan, a huge screen of light suddenly shot into the sky. In the blink of an eye, a huge round screen of light appeared above Yi Xian and Dao Ling's heads. Around them, more screens of light shot into the sky from the Shi clan and gathered into the round screen of light. Rumble. The round screen of light started to tremble violently, and then numerous strands of terrifying pressure swept down towards Yi Xian and Dao Ling. At the same time, for Time Realm experts appeared behind Yi Xian and Dao Ling peace. Shi Qian hadn't thought of it that way. The Shi clan and Yi Xian were irreconcilable enemies, so asking for peace would only be asking for humiliation. At a time like this, it was best to just kill them. Yi Xian turned to look at Dao Ling. What do you think? Dao Ling glanced at the surroundings, and then he said, I'll fight 2 Time Realm experts and this formation. How about you fight 3 Time Realm experts? Yi Xian nodded. All right. Dao Ling hesitated for a moment, and then he said, Brother Yi, promise me that you won't sell out your teammates. Yi Xian was speechless. Dao Ling didn't say anything else, and he just charged towards the distance. Bang! In an instant, a Dharma idol that was over 30 kilometers tall appeared in the starry sky outside the screen of light. It was Dao Ling's Dharma idol. Dao Ling's Dharma idol was many times larger than before. Moreover, the aura it emanated was completely different from before. Everyone felt a terrifying pressure descend upon them. Shi Qian's eyes narrowed slightly. Shi Ran, Shi Mu, don't underestimate your enemies. The 2 Time Realm experts nodded slightly, and then they shot into the sky. A wisp of ferocity flashed through Dao Ling's eyes. He was just about to attack when he seemed to have thought of something, and he gazed at Yi Xian. Brother Yi, don't sell out your teammates. As soon as he finished speaking, he charged towards the 2 Time Realm experts below him. Yi Xian was speechless. Am I the sort of person who would sell out my teammates? Shi Qian suddenly said, Come, let me see how the 2 of you intend to destroy my Shi clan today. As he spoke, he charged towards Yi Xian. Rumble. The space in front of Yi Xian was directly blasted apart by a terrifying force. Yi Xian suddenly drew his sword and slashed. Bang! A wave of sword light erupted, and in an instant, both of them retreated explosively. While Yi Xian was retreating, an afterimage suddenly flashed behind him, and a fist smashed towards the back of his head. A perfect combination. He wasn't even given the slightest chance to catch his breath. Yi Xian's expression was calm. With a command in his heart, the green profound sword transformed into a sword shield that blocked behind him. Rumble. The verdant mysterious sword and shield shook violently, and the powerful force blasted Yi Xian and the shield hundreds of thousands of meters away. As soon as he stopped moving, a cold light suddenly tore the space behind him apart and slashed straight at him. A wisp of ferocity flashed through Yi Xian's eyes. He suddenly grabbed the green profound sword with his right hand, and then he turned around and slashed. Rumble. The sword light shattered, and an afterimage was blasted back 30 kilometers. But right at this moment, 2 terrifying auras suddenly appeared by his side. Yi Xian's eyes suddenly closed slowly. In an instant, numerous strange rays of sword light appeared in the surroundings. Future slash. Shi Qian's expression changed slightly when he arrived in front of Yi Xian. Because these swords seemed as if they'd been waiting for them here, and their appearance was truly too strange. Shi Qian immediately withdrew his fist that was smashing towards Yi Xian, and then he smashed it towards those strange swords. Rumble. An expanse of sword light suddenly exploded apart. Shi Qian retreated repeatedly, and the Time Realm expert retreated madly as well. In the distance, Yi Xian didn't move at all, but a few dozen strange swords had appeared in the surroundings. Future slash. Shi Qian's expression instantly changed violently when he witnessed this scene. Because the appearance of these swords was truly too strange. Most terrifying of it all was that Yi Xian's swords were extremely sharp, and even they didn't dare to rashly go head-on against them. Shi Qian hurriedly said, "Defend." As soon as he spoke, the three of them hurriedly converged together, and then they attacked together to resist those strange swords. Meanwhile, Yi Xian's expression was calm, and he didn't move at all. He hadn't drawn his sword, but swords were ceaselessly slashing towards Shi Qian and the others. Every single sword was more terrifying than the last. Shi Qian and the others were forced to retreat repeatedly by these swords. They could only defend passively because the appearance of these swords was too strange, and they couldn't be traced at all. Right at this moment, one of the Time Realm experts suddenly said, "We must seal off the space here." Shi Qian's figure suddenly leaped up when he heard this. He directly disregarded the sword that was slashing towards him from behind and smashed his right hand forward. Rumble. In an instant, the space in the sky above the Shi clan was instantly obliterated, and the river of time was obliterated along with it. At the instant that the river of time was obliterated, the strange swords in the surroundings had instantly vanished. Shi Qian and the others heaved sighs of relief when they witnessed this scene. Those swords were truly too strange. Most importantly, they were too sharp, and they posed a lethal threat to them. Meanwhile, Yi Xian suddenly opened his eyes, and he gazed at Shi Qian. At this moment, Shi Qian and the others had solemn expressions in their eyes. Yi Xian's combat strength had slightly exceeded their expectations. Yi Xian suddenly opened his palm, and the green profound sword flew out. Shi Qian's eyes narrowed slightly, and then he flipped his palm. A black shield suddenly appeared in his grasp, and he charged forward with the shield in hand. Bang! The sword light was directly blasted apart, but the shield exploded apart as well. The green profound sword continued forward and slashed at Shi Qian. Meanwhile, a spear suddenly stabbed against the green profound sword. Bang! The green profound sword was forcefully stopped. The other Time Realm expert had attacked. Yi Xian opened his palm, and the green profound sword flew back into his grasp. Yi Xian slowly closed his eyes, and in the next moment, his figure gradually became illusory. Shi Qian's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw this scene. Watch out! Swordsman! Yi Xian's combat strength had severely exceeded their expectations. Now that they were facing Yi Xian, they didn't dare to be careless or underestimate him in the slightest. Right at this moment, Yi Xian suddenly opened his eyes. In the next moment, a ray of sword light suddenly appeared in the distant horizon. The expressions of Shi Qian and the others instantly changed drastically when they saw this scene. Shi Qian roared furiously, "Watch out!" They hadn't expected that Yi Xian's attack wasn't aimed at them, but at Shi Ran, who was fighting Dao Ling in the distant horizon. Shi Ran's expression instantly changed drastically, and he swiftly turned around and blocked with his right hand. Bang! Everyone watched as she was blasted back into the realm of death, and as soon as his figure stopped moving, his body instantly shattered into pieces. At the same time, another sword slashed down towards him. This sudden attack caused Shi Ran's already shattered body to fall into despair. But right at this moment, an afterimage suddenly charged in front of him, and then a cold light collided with that sword. Bang! Yi Xian's sword was blocked, and the afterimage hurriedly brought Shi Ran out of the world of death. Shi Ran instantly heaved a sigh of relief, and then there was a trace of fear in his eyes as he gazed at Yi Xian. If it was a head-on battle, then he wasn't afraid. Because even if he wasn't a match for Yi Xian, the difference wouldn't be too great. However, he was slightly afraid of those who played dirty like Yi Xian. It was impossible to guard against. That sword that had appeared from the future was too mysterious. Shi Qian suddenly said, "Activate the formation." As soon as he finished speaking, the enormous barrier of light in the sky suddenly started revolving swiftly, and then numerous terrifying beams of light tore through the sky like shooting stars towards Yi Xian. Yi Xian frowned slightly. He opened his palm, and then he issued a command in his heart. A few 100,000 energy swords suddenly appeared around him, and then he said softly, "Rise." Oam! A sword howl resounded through the heavens and the earth, and then the energy swords shot into the sky and collided with the torrential beams of light. Hiss! 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 Rumbling and tearing sounds resounded incessantly throughout the heavens and the earth, and it seemed like the end of the world had arrived. Chapter 2236. In the sky above the Shi clan, numerous explosions and ripping sounds resounded incessantly as sword chi collided with the pillars of light. In an instant, the sky above the Shi clan was in a mess. He'd just stopped it. Shi Qian and the others had extremely unsightly expressions on their faces. Yi Xian had actually stopped the grand formation of the Shi clan by himself. Right at this moment, Yi Xian suddenly opened his palm, and then the green profound sword in his hand trembled violently before it transformed into a ray of light that shot into the sky. Hiss! The green profound sword tore through the sky and slashed down on the enormous barrier of light. Bang! Before the eyes of all the Shi tribe experts, the huge barrier of light directly exploded into smithereens. The formation had been destroyed. Shi Qian and the other experts of the Shi clan had extremely unsightly expressions on their faces. Yi Xian's strength has simply changed by the day. What the hell did he eat to cultivate? He's like a freak. They'd seen monstrous geniuses and geniuses because Shi Tian was a monstrous genius, and his speed of cultivation was extremely terrifying. But Yi Xian's speed was already abnormal. It was like cheating. In the sky, Yi Xian stood with his sword in hand as he gazed at Shi Qian, who led the group. "I'll definitely annihilate the Shi clan today. Even if 3 attacks come at me, I'll still." He hesitated for a moment when he spoke up to this point, and then he said, "I can consider it if 3 attacks come at me." Xiao Ta suddenly said, "Consider it my ass. Just be frank and say that you can't defeat me." Yi Xian was speechless. Shi Qian stared at Yi Xian, "Let me see how you'll annihilate me." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly stomped his right foot against the ground and vanished on the spot. Hiss! The space in front of Yi Xian had split apart, and then a fist suddenly flew out and headed straight for Yi Xian's face. The formidable force it carried seemed like it intended to crush Yi Xian into countless pieces. It was extremely terrifying. Yi Xian's expression was calm as he lightly flicked his thumb. Hiss! The green profound sword suddenly slashed forward. Rumble! The space-time in front of Yi Xian suddenly exploded, and a figure rapidly retreated. It was none other than Shi Qian, and Yi Xian also retreated several thousand feet. But just as he stopped, 2 terrifying auras suddenly attacked him from both sides. 2 time realm experts attacked at the same time. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. In the next moment, his bloodlines suddenly boiled. Boom! A red light suddenly shot out from Yi Xian's body into the sky. Bloodline power activated. Yi Xian suddenly turned around and swept out with his sword. Boom! A blood-red sword light surged out. Rumble! The sword of time expert in front of him was swept tens of thousands of feet away by his sword. As soon as he stopped moving, the starry sky behind him collapsed and was annihilated. At this moment, a fist mark arrived beside his head. Yi Xian's expression was calm. A sword suddenly flew out and directly slashed at the fist mark. Rumble! The fist imprint was directly shattered, and that time realm expert was forced to retreat. At this time, a sword case had appeared behind Yi Xian at some point. Heaven Burial Sword Case. This was the Heaven Burial Sword Case that Qin Guan had given him. There were 12 super divine swords hidden inside. Yi Xian turned his head to look at Shi Qian. In the next moment, he suddenly disappeared from where he stood. At the instant he disappeared, the sword case on his back suddenly trembled violently, and then 12 beams of sword light soared into the sky and slashed toward Shi Qian. Shi Qian's eyes flashed with malevolence. He opened his palm, and suddenly, a black umbrella appeared in his hand. In the next moment, the umbrella flew out and blocked in front of him. In an instant, the spacetime around the umbrella turned into a giant black vortex. At this time, the 12 swords slashed down. Boom! On the surface of the umbrella, the 12 swords were all blocked. However, some cracks also appeared on the umbrella. In the distance, Yi Xian frowned. "Old man, you even know how to use treasures? I thought you only knew how to use fists." "Shi Qian," Yi Xian suddenly said, "take another sword attack from me." As soon as he finished speaking, the green profound sword in his hand suddenly slashed out. A ray of sword light slashed directly against the umbrella. Bang! The umbrella shook violently, and then it cracked apart. There were no divine treasures beneath the green profound sword. Shi Qian's expression instantly changed when he saw this, and he hurriedly put the umbrella away. This umbrella was one of the few precious treasures of the Shi clan, and it couldn't be destroyed just like that. Yi Xian turned to glance at Dao Ling. At this moment, Dao Ling was fighting 2 enemies by himself, and he wasn't weak at all. In fact, he was actually showing signs of being suppressed. Moreover, he noticed that Dao Ling was getting more and more valiant as the battle progressed. As expected of a heaven-defying expert. Yi Xian withdrew his gaze, and then looked at Shi Qian. "The 3 of you can come at me together." Shi Qian's face was expressionless. "As you wish." As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 of them charged directly at Yi Xian. Yi Xian's face immediately darkened. Shi Qian knew very well that the 3 of them had to join forces against Yi Xian. Otherwise, they wouldn't have any chance of winning. Yi Xian's strength wasn't just ordinarily terrifying. Especially the sword in his hand. It was simply terrifying, and the 3 of them didn't dare to rashly go against it. So, they had to join forces. It couldn't be helped. Yi Xian had no choice but to fight 3 enemies by himself. His nerves were extremely strained as he fought 3 enemies by himself. Because he couldn't relax in the slightest. Because a single mistake could be fatal. Shi Qian and the others didn't dare to go head-on against his sword, but he didn't dare to use his body to go head-on against their strength as well. The battle was growing more and more intense. Flying swords slashed incessantly in the sky above the Shi clan, and numerous terrifying tearing sounds resounded incessantly. On the other side, the experts of the Shi clan had extremely solemn expressions as they watched the battle in the sky. On the other side, 2 people were watching the battle intently. The person in the lead was Zhou Yu. The old man by Zhou Yu's side spoke in a low voice, "The Shi clan is going further and further down the path." Zhou Yu chuckled lightly, "The Shi clan's strength is only inferior to our Zhou clan since the beginning. They've always looked down on other powers besides our Zhou clan." At this point, she lightly shook her head, "Any power that reaches a certain level will begin to grow arrogant. And so long as it grows arrogant, some retarded behavior will appear. It's just like some people in the secular world who have a little bit of strength behind them. They act arrogantly as if the entire world is their home. Arrogance can cause people to lose themselves." At this point, she paused for a moment and continued, "Isn't my Zhou clan the same? Isn't my Zhou clan the same as well? Before this, I felt that my Zhou clan was invincible in the heavenly cycle universe. Even though I took Yi Xian and Dao Ling seriously, I didn't feel that they could threaten my Zhou clan in the depths of my heart. But the facts have proven that my Zhou clan isn't strong enough to look down on everything in the boundless universe." The old man fell silent. Zhou Yu continued, "I quite admire that Shi Tian, because he had already seen through this point. In the past, he looked down upon everything and was extremely confident. However, his battle with Yi Xian and Dao Ling allowed him to understand that while he was very outstanding, others weren't inferior as well." As she spoke, she looked at Yi Xian and Dao Ling in the distance. Xiaofan was afraid that the two of them would pledge their allegiance to the Zhou clan. However, he never thought that such monstrous geniuses would pledge their allegiance to others. The old man spoke abruptly, their strength can only be described as terrifying. Even old geezers like us wouldn't dare say that we can suppress them at the time realm. Zhou Yu chuckled, both of them possess the karmic luck of the Grand Tao, so it's normal for them to be monstrous geniuses. The old man suddenly said, "Does the Zhou clan have any other trump cards?" The corners of Zhou Yu's mouth curled up slightly, of course. They intended to keep them to guard against my Zhou clan. But now it would seem like they have no choice but to guard against these two fellows first. The old man hesitated for a moment and said, "Young miss, should we attack?" Zhou Yu thought for a moment and was about to nod. However, a mysterious masked figure suddenly appeared in front of Zhou Yu. It was the masked old man from the Immortal Treasure Pavilion who'd helped Yi Xian guard the pagoda earlier. Zhou Yu was slightly stunned, and then she said, "The old man." She'd met him in the past because he'd frequently appeared by Qin Guan's side when he was with Qin Guan. The old man nodded slightly. "Miss Zhou Yu, the pavilion master asked me to pass a message to you." Zhou Yu hurriedly said, "Please go ahead." The old man spoke in a low voice, "The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind." As soon as he finished speaking, he left silently. Zhou Yu pondered deeply for a moment on the spot, and then her pupils constricted. She swiftly turned around and swept the surroundings, and her divine sense instantly swept through countless stars. However, she didn't notice anything. Zhou Yu had an extremely solemn expression on her face. No, it was slightly horrifying. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. There's a mysterious power hiding in the shadows. Zhou Yu slowly clenched her fists. "Who is it?" The old man glanced at the surroundings as well, but he found nothing as well. He hesitated for a moment before he said, "Miss, what's wrong?" Zhou Yu fell silent for a moment before she said, "Send the order immediately. All the experts of my Zhou clan outside must rush back to the Zhou clan within 2 hours." As soon as she finished speaking, she turned around and left. On the other side, Jun Xie looked at Zhou Yu who'd left into the distance. "Did she notice us?" Beside him, the old man nodded. "She didn't notice us. It was that person from the Immortal Treasure Pavilion who notified them." Jun Xie frowned slightly. Meanwhile, the space before them suddenly split open, and the masked old man walked out in the next moment. Jun Xie looked at the masked old man without saying a word. The masked old man said, "I presume you're the one who caused the change." Jun Xie's eyes narrowed slightly. "Your pavilion master knows me." The masked old man said, "Everything in the universe is not unchanging, and the chance of survival in a situation of despair is the change. The change is the truth of all the phenomena in the universe. The change causes life and death to alternate, and the change brings boundless light and boundless vitality to life. The change opens up a wider space for our lives and the great Tao. Many sufferings are rekindled because of the change." Jun Xie said in a deep voice, "What is your pavilion master trying to say?" The masked old man said, "The pavilion master said that young master is able to become the change because you possess the great Tao providence. If you look further ahead, you may have a chance to take revenge." As soon as he finished speaking, he quietly left. Jun Xie suddenly smiled. "I understand what your pavilion master means. Your pavilion master wants to say that I should not compete with the destined one and the heaven-defying one for the great Tao providence, right?" The masked old man was silent. Jun Xie smiled. "Does pavilion master Qin Guan mean that I can't compete with them?" The masked old man suddenly said, "Young master, what is the great Tao providence?" Jun Xie frowned slightly. The masked old man continued, "The reason why the pavilion master asked me to bring this message to young master is because she sympathizes with the evil spirit clan's experience in the past. The evil spirit clan died in battle to save the countless lives of the evil Ling Tian region. The pavilion master admires this. That is why she asked the old man to bring this message to young master. Wuxia said in a deep voice. From what I know, Pavilion Master Qin is very fond of that Man of Heaven's mandate. However, that Man of Heaven's mandate is not completely invincible. As long as his fate of the Great Tao is exhausted, he will still die. We make mistakes, we seek death, and when the Great Tao Providence is exhausted, he will also die, right? After a moment of silence, the masked old man said, he might not. Wuxia was puzzled, why? The masked old man sighed. The pavilion master said that Tadayabi has been kidnapped. He is finished. Wuxia. P.S. Everyone has seen the invincible sword domain, the only sword. Let me ask you a question. If both Yi Xian and Yang Yi had no backing and were in the same world as enemies, who do you think will survive until the end? Chapter 2237. Wuxia wanted to say something else, but the masked old man had already left. He had delivered his message, so it was pointless to say anything else. It was up to Wuxia to make his own decision. Wuxia fell silent. Old man Gu spoke in a low voice. What did the pavilion master mean by that? Wuxia gazed at Yi Xian and old man Gu, and it was unknown what he was thinking. Somewhere in the starry sky, Qin Guan suddenly stopped in his tracks. She blinked. What are you doing? There was nothing but endless starry sky around her. Qin Guan smiled. I found you. Still no response. Qin Guan smiled. Don't be like that. If you have something to say, just say it. After a long time, an ethereal voice suddenly resounded. Woman, you're meddling too much. The voice didn't seem to have come from the surroundings, and it seemed to have drifted over from the passage of time. Qin Guan smiled. Culpa Lord, may I give you a suggestion? The voice replied, there's no need. Qin Guan shrugged and dropped the subject. The voice spoke again, you freak. If you dare meddle in other people's business again, I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. Qin Guan frowned. Are you threatening me? The voice replied, yes. Qin Guan was slightly angry. She opened the pouch and was about to take something out. But suddenly, the starry sky in an area of tens of millions of kilometers started burning. It was the end of the universe. Suddenly, a Tai Chi circle appeared beneath Qin Guan's feet. The surrounding universe was obliterated, but Qin Guan was completely unharmed. The Tai Chi circle had forcefully blocked all the force. Suddenly, the top of Qin Guan's head split apart, and then a bolt of 9-colored divine lightning descended. As soon as the bolt of divine lightning appeared, a terrifying pressure swept down. The pressure was so strong that even the living beings that were a few tens of millions of starfields away could feel it. At this moment, the experts of countless universes were shocked, and they looked up into the starry sky. What pressure? Countless people were horrified. In the starry sky, Qin Guan looked up at the 9-colored divine lightning with a calm expression. Suddenly, she took out a talisman from her small pouch. She blinked, then slammed her palm upwards and shouted, Mighty Dragon of Heaven. Boom! The talisman in her hand suddenly soared into the sky, transforming into a golden dragon that crashed into the 9-colored divine lightning. Below, Qin Guan quickly covered his ears. Rumble! A terrifying explosion resounded in the starry sky, and then the bolt of divine lightning was instantly obliterated. However, the golden dragon did not disappear. It continued to roar and soar in the starry sky. At this moment, the voice suddenly rang out with some astonishment. What kind of dragon is this? How can it destroy even my tribulation lightning? Qin Guan opened her palm, and the golden dragon suddenly flew back into her hand, and then turned into a talisman. She looked into the depths of the starry sky in the distance, and put the talisman back into the small cloth bag, and then took out a big sniper rifle. It's not too late to apologize to me now. The voice fell silent. Qin Guan aimed at the starry sky and directly pulled the trigger. Boom! A ray of white light suddenly surged out, and then it pierced through space and vanished into the distance. After a few breaths of time, an explosion suddenly resounded in the depths of the starry sky. Meanwhile, the voice suddenly said, "That's it?" Qin Guan blinked, and then she put away the weapon in her hand. But it didn't take long for her to take out an even larger one. This weapon was similar to the previous one, but it was several times larger. Especially the long tube at the front, it was 3 m long, and there were 2 supports beneath it. Qin Guan aimed it at the depths of the starry sky and said, "This shot will destroy 300 billion divine veins." As she spoke, she pulled the trigger. Bang! A ray of white light suddenly surged out from the long tube at an extremely fast speed, and it instantly vanished from Qin Guan's field of vision. After a moment of silence, another loud explosion resounded in the distant starry sky. Qin Guan blinked. "It's a little too far." As she spoke, she suddenly withdrew a cylinder and placed it before her eyes. In next to no time, she saw an expanse of starry sky that was hundreds of millions of years away, and there was a silhouette standing in that expanse of starry sky. At this moment, that silhouette's right hand was gone. Moreover, there were actually some cracks on its body. Qin Guan put the cylinder away, and then she gave a thumbs up and praised, "You're really good. You're still alive." As she spoke, she put her weapon away. But in the next moment, she withdrew an even larger weapon. This weapon's tube was as thick as an adult's, and it was supported by 2 wheels. Qin Guan said, "This shot will destroy 1 trillion divine veins." As soon as she finished speaking, she pressed a button. Bang! A red cannonball suddenly shot into the sky, and it instantly vanished into the distance. This red cannonball merely traversed through the starry sky, and it didn't destroy the universes it passed through. Even though it contained extremely terrifying energy, it didn't leak out. That was extremely terrifying. In the unknown starry sky, the silhouette spoke ferociously, "How fancy." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly spread open his right hand, and then he swiftly swept it forward. This sweep caused countless strands of terrifying divine lightning to sweep out. These strands of divine lightning were so strong that they could destroy universes. Actually, it should be said that every single one of them could easily destroy an entire universe. Meanwhile, the cannonball arrived. Rumble. The silhouette watched with astonishment as all of his divine lightning was obliterated. He was horrified, and he hurriedly utilized a huge shield of divine lightning to block in front of him. Bang! The shield of divine lightning shattered and was obliterated, and the silhouette was blasted a few stars away. The silhouette was stunned when he stopped moving. Even though his body hadn't been completely obliterated, it had cracked apart. After all, this was a tribulation body that had been tempered through trillions of tribulations. At this moment, the silhouette's head was buzzing. On the other side, Qin Guan put down the cylinder, thought for a moment, and then said, "You're still alive? Not bad." As she spoke, she put the weapon in front of her away. But it didn't take long for her to withdraw a sword, and then she lightly pressed the button on the hilt. Bang! The sword suddenly trembled violently, and then a sword howl shook the universe. The silhouette said in a low voice, "You're a swordsman?" Qin Guan shook her head. "No. This sword of mine is for money. 1 million universe veins is equivalent to 10 trillion star god veins." The silhouette roared furiously, 1 million universe veins? Are you bragging? Do you know how long it takes for a universe vein to form? Not to mention 1 million, even 100,000 universe veins are difficult to form. You actually said 1 million universe veins? That's ridiculous. Qin Guan blinked. Perhaps poverty has limited your imagination. The silhouette said fiercely, 1 million. Why don't you say you have 10 million? Qin Guan chuckled. I really do. The silhouette was speechless. Qin Guan continued, let's not talk about money. To me, money is just a bunch of numbers. I'm not interested in it because I can't finish spending it anyway. Let's fight. As she spoke, the sword in her hand suddenly shot into the sky. Chi. The sword directly tore apart countless star domains. It was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it slashed in front of the silhouette. The mysterious man's pupils suddenly constricted. He hurriedly took out an ancient wooden shield and placed it in front of him. He activated the ancient shield. The ancient shield trembled violently, and a terrifying aura surged out from it like a tide. At this time, Qin Guan's sword slashed down. Boom! The ancient shield directly exploded. The powerful force sent the silhouette flying hundreds of star domains. As soon as the silhouette stopped, his body directly exploded. His body shattered. Countless divine lightning splashed out from his shattered body like a tide. This part of the starry sky was directly annihilated. This part of the starry sky couldn't bear the fragments of his body. After the silhouette stopped, he looked at the sky full of fragments of his body and said with a trembling voice, "What the hell is this?" At this moment, his whole body was numb. His 10,000 calamities body was actually shattered. In the distance, at the end of the starry sky, Qin Guan suddenly frowned. You're not dead yet? It seems that I have to use something more powerful. As she spoke, she placed her hand into the small cloth bag. The silhouette was dumbfounded. Wasn't that powerful? At this time, Qin Guan's eyes suddenly lit up. She took out a strange weapon. The weapon was the size of a palm, square, and translucent like a crystal. At this time, the silhouette suddenly turned and disappeared into the starry sky. His speed was extremely fast. In an instant, he disappeared without a trace. Moreover, there was not a single trace of his aura. Seeing this scene, Qin Guan couldn't help but frown. He ran. The silhouette actually ran away. Qin Guan curled her lips. What a waste of my time. After saying that, she put away the weapon. She looked around and then walked towards the depths of the starry sky. In a short while, she disappeared into the starry sky. Shi clan. At this time, Yi Xian and Dao Ling were still fighting against the Shi clan's experts. Yi Xian was fighting 1 against 3. At this time, he was equally matched with the 3-time realm experts of the Shi clan. Neither side could do anything to the other. Right now, both sides were fighting a protracted battle. Let's see who can last longer. Within the Shi clan, the other experts didn't interfere. A battle of this level was something they couldn't interfere at all. Not only could they not interfere, but they also had to stay far away to avoid being caught up in the shockwaves. At this time, something strange happened. In the sky, Yi Xian suddenly turned around. In the next instant, several afterimages appeared. Yi Xian's pupils constricted. With a thought, the green profound sword turned into a sword shield in front of him. Rumble. The green profound sword shield trembled violently. Yi Xian and the shield were sent flying hundreds of thousands of zhang away. Yi Xian looked into the distance. Beside Shi Qian, there were 3 more people. These 3 people were actually at the time realm. Yi Xian frowned. Are you guys done yet? There are still time realms? Shi Qian was expressionless. Ancestor summon. As his voice fell, a terrifying aura suddenly soared into the sky from the Shi clan. Yi Xian's expression instantly became unsightly when he saw this. Shi Qian gazed at Yi Xian, and his expression was extremely unsightly. He finally understood. Yi Xian and Dao Ling hadn't come to annihilate the Shi clan. They'd come to use them for practice. Yi Xian and Dao Ling had just attained the time realm. At this moment, they yearned for battle. The more intense the battle, the happier they would be. Both of them were stabilizing their cultivations. Shi Qian understood that they couldn't drag on like this. They had to kill these two at all costs. Dao Ling appeared by Yi Xian's side. He gazed into the distance and said, "Brother Yi, what should we do? The more they fight, the more people there are." Yi Xian thought for a moment, and then he said, "Flee." Dao Ling was stunned, and then he said, "Flee?" Yi Xian nodded. When experts fight, it's best to stop. Let's develop for a while and come again next time. As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and vanished into the horizon. Dao Ling was speechless. Chapter 2238. Flee. Yi Xian was truly a slippery character. His speed was extremely fast, and he vanished into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Dao Ling was taken aback at first, and then he vanished into the horizon. Yi Xian had already fled. If he didn't flee, then his head would probably be smashed to smithereens. A Shi clan expert beside Shi Qian wanted to give chase, but he was stopped by Shi Qian. Shi Qian shook his head slightly. "We can't do anything to them." That Shi clan expert fell silent. It was just as Shi Qian had said. They couldn't do anything to Yi Xian and Dao Ling now. With Yi Xian and Dao Ling's current strength, if they didn't fight and kept fleeing, then even a few more time realm experts wouldn't be able to do anything to them. Some of the Shi clan experts sighed softly. This matter was simply a devastating blow to the Shi clan. Shi Yuan had died in battle, and Shi Tian had left. The Shi clan's current situation was simply too terrible. At this moment, one of the Shi clan experts said solemnly, "What should we do now?" Shi Qian fell silent for a moment, and then he said, "Two things. First, get Shi Tian back. Second, spread the news that Yi Xian possesses that sword." Hearing this, one of the Shi clan experts hurriedly said, "Wonderful. I don't believe that no one will be tempted by such a divine weapon. So long as someone is tempted, then someone will look for trouble with that Yi Xian and buy some time for the Shi clan." Shi Qian said softly, "I hope our Shi clan can survive this crisis." The strength and talent that Yi Xian and Dao Ling displayed were simply too terrifying. If they were to continue growing, it was unimaginable. On the other side, Yi Xian stopped. He turned around and frowned slightly. The Shi clan actually didn't chase after them. At this moment, Dao Ling suddenly said, "Are you wondering why they didn't chase after us?" Yi Xian nodded. Dao Ling smiled, "I don't know either." Yi Xian's face darkened. "If you don't know, then don't say anything." Dao Ling laughed. At this moment, a woman suddenly appeared. It was Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu smiled lightly. "Young Master Yi." "Master Dao?" Yi Xian asked, "Zhou clan?" Zhou Yu nodded. "I'm Zhou Yu, a friend of Miss Qin Guan." Qin Guan. Yi Xian was stunned for a moment before he smiled and said, "Miss Zhou Yu, since you are Qin Guan's friend, you are also my friend. Good friends." "Huh." Zhou Yu was slightly taken aback. He then smiled and said, "Brother Yi, Qin Guan, you are a very funny person." "As expected, huh." Yi Xian smiled and said, "Miss Zhou Yu, there must be something you need from us, right?" Zhou Yu nodded. "Shall we talk somewhere else?" Yi Xian nodded. "All right." After saying that, the three of them disappeared on the spot. 2 hours later, under Zhou Yu's lead, the two arrived at the Zhou clan. Zhou Yu smiled and said, "The Zhou clan is located in the Heavenly Cycle realm." "That's right, it was named after the Heavenly Cycle universe." Yi Xian glanced at Zhou Yu. "The reason why the Heavenly Cycle universe is called Zhou Tian is because of the Zhou clan?" Zhou Yu nodded. "It's because of my ancestor. He came to this world and created a brand new martial arts civilization here. Since then, the people of this universe have changed the name of this universe to Heavenly Cycle Universe in order to commemorate him. My ancestor is called Zhou Tian. After saying that, she looked at Yi Xian. Dark Cycle Universe. This Xian is Master Dao, right? Yi Xian nodded. That's right. Dao Ling suddenly asked, Brother Yi, what contribution did you make to Dark Cycle Universe? Yi Xian said calmly, does it have anything to do with you? Dao Ling smiled. I was just curious, so I asked. Yi Xian's expression was calm. Anyway, it's a great contribution. Dao Ling glanced at Yi Xian and was a little doubtful. Zhou Yu glanced at Yi Xian and did not ask further. A smart woman knew when to ask and when not to. After a while, the three of them came to a garden. Zhou Yu made an inviting gesture and said, please sit. Yi Xian and Dao Ling did not stand on ceremony and sat down. Zhou Yu sat down as well. She picked up the teacup in front of her and took a small sip. Then she said, I just found out that the Shi clan has spread the news about young Master Ye's divine sword. Now, everyone in the Heavenly Cycle Universe knows that young Master Yi has a sword that can raise one's cultivation realm. Moreover, it can raise one's cultivation realm above the age realm. Yi Xian said with a smile, will anyone come to me? Zhou Yu thought for a moment and said, under normal circumstances, no. Because what young Master Yi and young Master Dao Ling did in the Shi clan has already spread. Ordinary people would not dare to come looking for you. Yi Xian nodded slightly. If they dare to come looking for me, then they must be top-notch experts, right? Zhou Yu nodded. Yes. Yi Xian frowned. Other than the Zhou clan and the Shi clan, are there any other super forces in the Heavenly Cycle Universe? Zhou Yu shook her head. No. But there are powerful itinerant cultivators. Yi Xian nodded. I understand. Zhou Yu opened her palm and two scrolls floated in front of Yi Xian and Dao Ling. These scrolls record a few powerful itinerant cultivators in the Heavenly Cycle Universe. Young Master Yi cannot underestimate these people. Of course, with the strength of young Master Yi and Dao Ling, I'm afraid no one in the Heavenly Cycle Universe can kill you alone. Dao Ling hurriedly smiled. Of course. Now that we have reached the age realm, who can kill us instantly? There is no such thing. Yi Xian suddenly said, have you forgotten what happened before? Dao Ling's expression froze. Yi Xian's sister. Thinking of this, Dao Ling's expression turned ugly. Zhou Yu suddenly asked, young Master Dao, you don't look too good. What's wrong? Dao Ling hurriedly shook his head. It's nothing. I just feel a little stifled. Zhou Yu, Yi Xian suddenly said, Miss Zhou Yu, since you are Miss Qingguan, you are one of us. Since you are one of us, I have something that I need your help with. This, you don't mind, right? Zhou Yu was stunned. Yi Xian looked straight into Zhou Yu's eyes and asked, is there a problem? Zhou Yu hesitated for a while and said, of course. Yi Xian hurriedly said, it's like this. I want some universe veins. Not many, just a few tens of thousands. Universe veins. After reaching the age realm, he found that star god veins were no longer very useful to him. He had to get some universe veins. Hearing Yi Xian's words, Zhou Yu's expression froze. At the side, Dao Ling hesitated for a while. In the end, he did not dare to speak. To ask for something the moment they met, he really could not bring himself to do so. Although he also wanted universe veins, the effect of devouring star god veins was minimal. Zhou Yu suddenly smiled bitterly, young Master Yi. 10,000 universe veins in a few days. That is too much. Yi Xian blinked his eyes, is it a lot? Zhou Yu nodded, very, very much. To be honest, my Zhou clan has less than 200,000 universe veins in our storage. Yi Xian frowned slightly, so little? I remember Qin Guan said that she had a few million universe veins. Zhou Yu smiled bitterly. Miss Qin Guan. You can't compare to her. Her celestial treasure pavilion has opened all over the myriad heavens and realms, and she can even create realms. Do you know why people here can easily reach the age of time? Yi Xian shook his head. Zhou Yu shook his head and smiled. Miss Qin Guan came to sell it. She said that as long as you have 200,000 universe veins, she will teach everyone the cultivation method. Yi Xian frowned slightly. That's not right. Qin Guan said that the cultivation system is for the benefit of the universe. She won't charge any fees. Zhou Yu nodded. I know she said that we can't exploit the poor commoners, but she also said that we are not commoners. We belong to the capitalists. Yi Xian, Dao Ling frowned slightly. What do you mean by capitalists? Zhou Yu shook her head. I don't know. In any case, it doesn't mean that we are poor. From what I know, Miss Qin Guan has already sold this realm to many, many universes. In any case, she has plundered all the money of the top big shots. Yi Xian was speechless. This woman could really make money. Not to mention, just selling her realm would probably make a lot of money. Zhou Yu suddenly said, Young Master Yi, I can give you 20,000 universe veins. These 20,000 universe veins are all of my personal wealth. As she said that, she took out a storage ring and placed it in front of Yi Xian. Yi Xian said seriously, how can I accept this? Zhou Yu was about to speak when Yi Xian suddenly took the storage ring and cupped his fists. Miss Zhou, thank you. Zhou Yu smiled slightly. Can I see young Master Ye's sword? Clearly, this was a conditional exchange. Yi Xian smiled, of course. As he said that, he handed the sword to Zhou Yu. After Zhou Yu looked at it for a moment, a complicated look flashed in her eyes. Good sword. As she said that, she returned the sword to Yi Xian. Dao Ling looked at Zhou Yu, hesitated, then said, Miss Zhou Yu. You are Miss Qin Guan's friend, and Miss Qin Guan is Brother Ye's friend, and I am Brother Ye's friend. In that case, we are also. Zhou Yu spread her hands. Young Master Dao Ling, I really don't have anything else. Dao Ling's expression froze. Yi Xian suddenly asked, Miss Zhou Yu, are there any other experts in the Shi clan? Zhou Yu nodded. There is one. You must be careful. It is also because of this person that our Zhou clan has not had any conflicts with the Shi clan. Otherwise. As she said that, she did not continue speaking. Yi Xian frowned slightly. Who? Zhou Yu said solemnly, Shi Lanxin, the reason why the Shi clan could rise so quickly is because of this person. This person is the clan leader of the Shi clan 2 generations ago. He was the one who led the Shi clan to rise. If not for Shi Tian's appearance, this person would be the most monstrous existence in the Shi clan's history. Yi Xian said solemnly, the clan leader of the Shi clan 2 generations ago, is still alive? Zhou Yu nodded. He is definitely alive, but whether he is still in the heavenly cycle universe, I do not know. Yi Xian asked, even the Zhou clan does not know? Zhou Yu nodded. We have investigated, but found nothing. Yi Xian fell silent. Zhou Yu continued, besides that, the Shi clan has another trump card, the ancestral soul. That ancestral soul was left behind by the Shi clan's first clan leader. In order to nurture this ancestral soul, the Shi clan has been continuously nurturing this ancestral soul in secret. Now, this ancestral soul should have reached the time realm, and its strength is absolutely not to be underestimated. Yi Xian fell silent. At the side, Dao Ling hesitated for a moment, and then he said, Brother Yi, are we still going to annihilate this Shi clan? Zhou Yu looked at Yi Xian, and he did not speak. After a short while, Yi Xian smiled and said, Annihilate. As he spoke, he looked at Dao Ling. Let's annihilate them together. Dao Ling said solemnly, just the two of us? Yi Xian nodded. Dao Ling hesitated for a moment, and then he said, why don't we let them go? Annihilating a clan is a bit cruel. Yi Xian fell silent. Let the Shi clan go? No such thing exists. Anlancio had almost died at the hands of the Shi clan. Yi Xian stood up and left. Dao Ling and Zhou Yu were both stunned, and Zhou Yu hurriedly asked, Brother Yi, where are you going? Yi Xian said, to annihilate the Shi clan. Zhou Yu, Dao Ling hesitated for a moment, and then he stood up and followed. Yi Xian turned to look at Dao Ling, we have no chance of winning. I'm not trying to fool you with this. Dao Ling looked at Yi Xian, I only have one request. Yi Xian frowned slightly, what is it? Dao Ling said seriously, don't sell me out when we fight. Yi Xian. Chapter 2239. He was really a little scared of some of Yi Xian's tricks. Yi Xian laughed. Let's go. As soon as he finished speaking, the two of them were about to leave. Meanwhile, Zhou Yu suddenly said, Young Master Yi, are you really going to annihilate the Shi clan? Yi Xian nodded. Zhou Yu hesitated for a moment and said, forgive me for being blunt, but with your current strength, annihilating the Shi clan will be quite difficult. Yi Xian smiled. It's fine. We'll take it slow. If we can't annihilate them in a day, then we'll do it in 10 days. If we can't annihilate them in 10 days, then we'll do it in 10 years. One day, we'll annihilate them. As soon as he finished speaking, he and Dao Ling vanished into the horizon. Zhou Yu fell silent. The Shi clan actually offended the two of them. If geniuses like Yi Xian and Dao Ling were to take revenge, then not to mention the Shi clan, even the Zhou clan would have a headache. The two of them would run if they couldn't win, cultivate for a few days, and then come back to fight again. Who would be able to endure that? After a long time, Zhou Yu shook his head and left. The fact that Yi Xian and Dao Ling were taking revenge on the Shi clan was undoubtedly a good thing for the Zhou clan. No matter who won in the end, the Zhou clan just had to wait and see, and they would be able to reap the benefits. In the distant starry sky, Yi Xian and Dao Ling stopped, and then Yi Xian brought Dao Ling to Xiao Ta. Yi Xian and Dao Ling sat facing each other. They were exchanging battle experiences and thoughts. Yi Xian spoke in a low voice, what do you think about the battle with the Shi clan? Dao Ling pondered for a moment and said, the river of time is the key. Yi Xian nodded. Exactly as I thought. Time realm. Is the core time energy? No. It's the river of time, just like the river of time. They're already able to touch the river of time, and it can be said to be the source of power for time realm experts. Because the time energy used by time realm experts is extracted from the river of time. Dao Ling suddenly said, the strength of a time realm powerhouse depends on how much time energy he can extract from the river of time. Even we are unfamiliar with the river of time. Unfamiliar. Yi Xian nodded. Although they had reached the time realm, they weren't extracting time power from the river of time. Rather, they were extracting time power from the river of time. Dao Ling suddenly said, my guess is that the river of time is like a huge ocean, and cultivators are like the fish and prawns in the ocean. If we can enter the ocean, we will be able to obtain the power of the river of time. With that, the two of them looked at each other. In the next moment, the two of them left Xiao Ta and arrived at a starry sky. Both of them slowly closed their eyes and started to sense the river of time through the time energy. It didn't take long for both of them to sense the river of time. However, they were shocked to discover that the river of time was emitting a terrifying force. This force was so strong that even they didn't dare to approach it. The power of time. That was the power of time emitted by the river of time. At that moment, both of them were extremely shocked. Power. The power of time emitted by the river of time was too terrifying. It was many times stronger than their own power of time. The two of them looked at each other with shock in their eyes. Dao Ling suddenly smiled bitterly. It seems that we have to absorb the power of time from the river of time bit by bit. Only when we are strong enough can we try to enter the river of time. To do that, we will need at least a few hundred years. Yi Xian suddenly said, 100 years? Dao Ling nodded. Yi Xian shook his head and grabbed Dao Ling's shoulder. In the next moment, he and Dao Ling disappeared on the spot. In an instant, Yi Xian and Dao Ling ignored the terrifying power of time and entered the river of time. After entering the river of time, Dao Ling was dumbfounded. Dao Ling looked at Yi Xian and said with a trembling voice, "Brother Yi, this," then, he suddenly looked at the green profound sword in Yi Xian's hand and said, "It's because of this sword, right?" Yi Xian said with a straight face, "No, it's because of me." Dao Ling's face darkened, "Brother Yi, don't be like that. I'm not blind." Yi Xian was speechless. Dao Ling looked at the green profound sword in Yi Xian's hand and sighed, "Brother Yi, it is extremely difficult for ordinary people to enter the river of time. But you can easily enter the river of time, this is a bit too much." Yi Xian was about to speak, but Dao Ling suddenly laughed and said, "But I like it, haha." Yi Xian was speechless. Dao Ling looked around. At that moment, he and Yi Xian were in the depths of the river of time. The river of time was so long that it seemed endless. In this long river, the power of time could only be described as terrifying. It was too terrifying. The bit of time energy they cultivated was simply insignificant when compared to the power of time within the river of time. Yi Xian's right hand swept lightly through the battlefield. As his hand passed through the power of time, he had to admit that he was quite shocked. The power of time was truly terrifying. Time. After the passage of time, it was the passage of time, and the passage of time had lasted for countless trillions of years. Dao Ling suddenly pointed towards the distance, "Brother Yi, look." Yi Xian raised his head and looked into the distance. At the end of their field of vision, they saw some shadows within the river of time, and those shadows were walking through the river of time and moving towards the distance. Yi Xian frowned slightly, "What's that?" Dao Ling shook his head, "I don't know." Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, "Let's go and take a look." Dao Ling nodded, "All right." But he didn't move. Yi Xian gazed at Dao Ling, but Dao Ling didn't speak. Yi Xian was quite speechless, "Let's go." Dao Ling nodded, "All right." But he didn't move. Yi Xian was speechless. Xiaofan suddenly said, "Both of you are at the time realm at any rate, and you're amongst the supreme experts of the world. Do you have to be so cowardly?" Dao Ling hurriedly shook his head, "We have to keep a low profile." Before he attained the time realm, he felt that the time realm was very formidable. But after he attained the time realm, he realized that he was still very weak. Of course, the main reason was because of the sword that Yi Xian's younger sister had given him. That sword had caused him to doubt his life. The slightest bit of arrogance he'd had was instantly extinguished by that sword. Meanwhile, Yi Xian suddenly said, "Those shadows are quite strange." Dao Ling looked at those shadows and frowned slightly. Yi Xian suddenly said, "Let's go." As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished on the spot. Dao Ling hurriedly followed him as well. It didn't take long for the two of them to arrive in front of that shadow. Meanwhile, the shadow had gradually condensed into a walking middle-aged man. But the two of them couldn't sense any aura from the middle-aged man at all. The middle-aged man walked into the distance. His gaze was calm, and his steps were very steady. Yi Xian suddenly said in a deep voice, "He's someone from the past. He's just left behind an illusion of himself in the river of time." Someone from the past. Dao Ling frowned slightly, "Why do you say so?" Yi Xian said, "I guessed." Dao Ling, at this moment, the middle-aged man suddenly stopped and turned to look at Yi Xian and Dao Ling. Yi Xian and Dao Ling's expressions changed slightly. Dao Ling hurriedly said, "Brother Yi, he's looking at us." Yi Xian said in a deep voice, "He's looking at us from the past." The middle-aged man suddenly smiled and said, "Interesting." Yi Xian looked at the middle-aged man, "Senior, am I right?" The middle-aged man smiled and said, "Yes. The me you see now belongs to the me from a very, very long time ago." Dao Ling was a little curious, "How long ago?" The middle-aged man smiled slightly, "It should be tens of billions of years ago." Dao Ling, the middle-aged man sized up Yi Xian and Dao Ling, and then he said, "The two of you are very outstanding. But under normal circumstances, the two of you shouldn't be able to enter the river of time." As he spoke, his gaze descended onto the green profound sword in Yi Xian's hand. The middle-aged man's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw the green profound sword. In the next moment, his pupils constricted. Yi Xian hesitated for a moment, and then he passed the green profound sword to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man looked at the green profound sword, and his gaze gradually became slightly dazed. A moment later, he smiled bitterly, "How terrifying." Yi Xian asked, "What's wrong?" The middle-aged man took a deep look at Yi Xian, "My young friend, you're really not simple. You actually have such a peerless expert protecting you. I'm really envious." As she spoke, she paused for a moment and said, "The person who created this sword is a time immortal, right?" Yi Xian frowned slightly, "A time immortal?" A trace of surprise flashed through the middle-aged man's eyes, "You don't know?" Yi Xian nodded, "I don't." The middle-aged man smiled, "After traversing the mortal world and arriving at the other side, one is an immortal, a time immortal. Time immortals don't affect their bodies, and their lifespan is endless." Yi Xian fell silent. The middle-aged man asked, "The creator of this sword actually fused the power of time into the sword and suppressed the power of time. Such strength means that the creator has surpassed the power of time. To be able to do this, I believe only a time immortal would be able to do it." Yi Xian shook his head, "She probably isn't a time immortal." A trace of surprise flashed through the middle-aged man's eyes, "She isn't?" Yi Xian nodded, "She doesn't cultivate." The middle-aged man fell silent for a moment before he said, "No." Yi Xian gazed at the middle-aged man, and the middle-aged man spoke softly, "Realm is just a name. She doesn't cultivate because she has already broken free of this restriction." Yi Xian frowned slightly, "Break free of the restriction?" The middle-aged man smiled, "Actually, we are constantly breaking free of the restriction throughout our lives." "What is the restriction?" "It is the various rules, restrictions, and restraints." Yi Xian hesitated for a moment before he said, "I've broken free of many restrictions as well." The middle-aged man shook his head and smiled. Yi Xian bowed slightly, "Please guide me, senior." The middle-aged man smiled, "Even a time immortal is still within the restriction. If you can't break free of fate and karma, if you can't break free of space and universe, if you can't break free of time and samsara, if you can't break free of creation and heaven and earth, you will forever be within the restriction." Yi Xian frowned slightly, "How do I break free?" The middle-aged man was quite helpless, "If I knew, why would I be wasting time with you? Is it fun?" Yi Xian, the middle-aged man suddenly said, "Young friend, can I have a look at your sword?" Yi Xian smiled, "Of course." As he spoke, he handed the sword to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man took the sword, and the next moment, he disappeared with the green profound sword. Yi Xian and Dao Ling were dumbfounded. The two looked at each other, and then said in unison, F***ck. Ran away? Have I been F***king tricked? Yi Xian had a mental breakdown. Chapter 2240. Needless to say, Yi Xian and Dao Ling were truly dumbfounded. They really ran away. How could this be? Damn it. Neither of them had expected that the middle-aged man who seemed like a nice guy would actually lie. How careless. However, both of them were puzzled. Wasn't he someone from the past? How could he take the sword away? They didn't have time to think about it. Because once the sword was gone, they couldn't resist the energy of time any longer, and it was about to destroy them. They hurriedly left the river of time. After they left, their bodies had actually rotted away. Both of them broke out in cold sweat when they witnessed this scene. We were almost finished. Meanwhile, Dao Ling suddenly spoke solemnly, "How shameless of you to play dirty. How utterly shameless." Yi Xian's expression was quite unsightly as well. Damn it. He hadn't expected them to play dirty right away. What the hell? How could they be so shameless? Dao Ling suddenly said, "Brother Yi, what do we do now?" Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, "Let me take a look first." As he spoke, he slowly closed his eyes. It was time to sense the sword. A short moment later, Yi Xian's expression was quite unsightly. Because he noticed that he couldn't sense the sword at all. Perhaps it was too far away. Yi Xian's expression was gloomy. Dao Ling suddenly said, "Brother Yi, do you have a way?" Yi Xian shook his head, "We can't defeat that bastard." Since he was able to move freely through the river of time, it was obvious that his strength was absolutely terrifying. Yi Xian fell silent for a short moment before he said, "We have to get help." Dao Ling asked, "Who?" Yi Xian spoke solemnly, "Miss Qing Guan." He still didn't want to get help from Qing. He felt bad for troubling Qing, for something like this. Moreover, it wouldn't be easy to clean up the mess if Qing showed up. Yi Xian withdrew the Dark Heaven token and activated it. It didn't take long for the token to tremble slightly, and then space before him split apart before an old man walked out. It was still that masked old man. The masked old man glanced at Yi Xian. "Young Master Yi. What's the matter?" He was actually a little afraid of Yi Xian. Some of the things this guy did were really inhumane. Yi Xian smiled. "I want to talk to Miss Qing Guan." The masked old man thought for a moment before nodding. "All right." After saying that, he opened his palm, and a white light suddenly flew up. Soon, a screen appeared in the sky, and a virtual image appeared. The virtual image gradually solidified, and soon, Qing Guan appeared on the screen. At that moment, Qing Guan was standing on an unknown island. Not too far away from him sat an old man. Next to the old man was a woman who had appeared before. She was none other than the woman who had held the sickle. The three seemed to be discussing something. Qing Guan suddenly turned her head. "Let's go find him." As soon as she finished speaking, she led Yi Xian and Dao Ling into the river of time. After they entered the river of time, a Tai Chi diagram appeared beneath Yi Xian and Dao Ling's feet. Under the protection of the Tai Chi diagram, the two of them actually disregarded the surrounding energy of time. As for the old man and the woman with the sickle, they actually disregarded the surrounding energy of time as well. Under Qing Guan's lead, they walked towards the distance. Yi Xian was suddenly curious. "Qing Guan, what's that beneath our feet?" Qing Guan said, "A Tai Chi circle." Yi Xian frowned slightly. "A Tai Chi circle?" Qing Guan nodded, "I created it myself. As of now, its defense is considered to be the second best in the entire universe." Dao Ling suddenly asked, "What's the first?" Qing Guan smiled, "The body of the Milky Way's area. Her body can't be broken without 3 swords. Even if it's 3 swords, she can still withstand 1 sword without dying." Dao Ling was a little puzzled. "Miss Qing Guan, what are the 3 swords?" Qing Guan glanced at Yi Xian, smiled, his sister, his father, and his big brother. Yi Xian was speechless. Dao Ling's expression froze. He gulped, then turned to look at Yi Xian. "Brother Yi. You. Are you a second-generation heir? Yi Xian said calmly, no. Dao Ling was speechless. Qin Guan suddenly smiled, young Master Yi, you're walking faster than I imagined. I can't believe you're able to come into contact with the river of time so quickly. I have to say, your speed is pretty good. Yi Xian smiled, Qin Guan, what have you been busy with recently? Qin Guan blinked, some things. It's not convenient for me to tell you. Yi Xian was speechless. At this time, the woman with the sickle suddenly said, Pavilion Master Qin, we have to be careful. Qin Guan looked at the woman with the sickle, and the woman with the sickle said in a deep voice, these time cultivators are not simple, and they all have strange tempers. Qin Guan smiled, it's okay. We'll use peaceful means before resorting to force. The woman with the sickle glanced at Qin Guan, then nodded slightly. Soon, they saw an ancient city at the end of their sight. Yi Xian frowned, there's a city here? Qin Guan smiled, this river of time is equivalent to a universe. Moreover, not all places in this river of time are filled with the power of time. Cities can be built in places without the power of time. Yi Xian nodded slightly, I see. Qin Guan and the others arrived at the city, and at this time, an old man in a grey robe suddenly appeared in front of Yi Xian and the others. The old man glanced at Qin Guan and the others, what's up? Qin Guan smiled, I'm looking for someone. The old man's face was expressionless, the person you're looking for is not here. Yi Xian pulled Qin Guan's sleeve, and then said, they don't know you? Qin Guan rolled his eyes at Yi Xian, I'm very low-key. Yi Xian, Qin Guan looked at the old man, and smiled, someone here took my friend's sword. You ask him to return it and apologize, and I'll call the shots on this matter. The old man looked at Qin Guan, leave immediately if you don't want to die. Qin Guan suddenly pulled out a gun, then pulled the trigger. Bang! A ray of white light surged out. The old man's pupils constricted, and he hurriedly raised his arms to block it. Rumble! A ray of white light exploded, and the old man retreated explosively. As he retreated, his body was obliterated inch by inch, and it was completely gone by the time he reached the city wall. Moreover, his soul was extremely illusory. This shot had almost obliterated him. The woman with the sickle and the old man gulped, and there was a trace of shock in their eyes. Damn it! This Pavilion Master Qin is quite terrifying. After all, he's a time cultivator. He was almost killed by a single shot just like that. At this moment, the old man was completely stunned. His body is gone. Qin Guan spoke indifferently from afar, geezer, be polite. The old man was speechless. Meanwhile, Qin Guan pointed his gun at the old man, where's that person? Ask him to come out. The old man hurriedly said, who is he? Qin Guan turned to gaze at Yi Xian. Yi Xian hesitated for a moment before he said, can't you condense an image? Qin Guan glared at Yi Xian, I've told you many times. I don't cultivate. I don't have any strength at all. All of them almost had a mental breakdown when they heard this. Fuck. You don't cultivate. You're even more terrifying than cultivating. Yi Xian was quite speechless as well. He waved his right hand, and the middle-aged man's appearance appeared here. The old man was first stunned when he saw the middle-aged man, and then he said, everyone, he isn't in our city. Qin Guan frowned slightly, he isn't in your city? The old man hurriedly nodded, yes. He's in Time City, and he's quite a distance away from us. Qin Guan glanced at the old man, and then he put his gun away with slight displeasure, since he isn't here, then why are you being so fierce? The old man hesitated for a moment, and then his voice trembled, I didn't know you were so formidable. All of them were speechless. P.S. Can you not use vulgarities when you're insulting others? Chapter 2241 At this moment, the old man felt slightly aggrieved. He really hadn't expected this woman to be so terrifying. She'd almost killed him with a single move. After all, he was a time walker. However, he hadn't even been able to resist that attack. It was truly terrifying. Qin Guan suddenly opened his palm, and a spatial ring flew over to the old man. The old man glanced at it, and he was stunned in the next moment. There were actually 10,000 universe veins in the spatial ring. The old man looked at Qin Guan. This, Yi Xian blinked, help us find that person. And 100,000 more. The old man's voice trembled, really? Qin Guan nodded, yes. The old man said hurriedly, young miss, let's go. This old man will take you there. As soon as he finished speaking, he put away the spatial ring and led Qin Guan and the others towards Time City. Yi Xian and Dao Ling exchanged glances. This old man actually had no principles at all. His body had just been shattered by Qin Guan, yet he was lowering his head now. How unprincipled. On the way, Yi Xian suddenly asked, Qin Guan, that person said he was in the past. But how could he take my things now? Qin Guan smiled, because his main body is here. Otherwise, no one would be able to do that. Yi Xian nodded, I understand. It didn't take long for them to arrive at Time City. As soon as they arrived, the old man hurriedly said, White Sage, someone is looking for you. After a moment of silence, a middle-aged man suddenly walked out from within Time City. Yi Xian looked at the middle-aged man. This was the person who'd held his sword earlier. The middle-aged man glanced at Yi Xian and smiled, everyone, why are you looking for me? Qin Guan smiled, you're the one who took my friend's things. White Sage frowned, what things? Young miss, I don't understand what you're talking about. Qin Guan gazed at White Sage, take them out now and apologize, and I won't hit you. White Sage narrowed his eyes. Woman, are you threatening me? The old man hesitated for a moment before he said, Saint White, be a little more polite when you speak. A hint of disdain appeared at the corners of White Sage's mouth. Be polite? It depends on the person, doesn't it? Qin Guan nodded slightly and took out a gun. The next moment, she pulled the trigger. Boom! A white light suddenly surged out. In the distance, White Saint's expression changed abruptly. He folded his hands together and in an instant, tens of thousands of illusory mountains enveloped him. A powerful pressure swept out in all directions, incomparably terrifying. Rumble. In front of everyone's eyes, the tens of thousands of mountains shattered, and the white light blasted onto White Saint's body. Rumble. Saint White was instantly blasted hundreds of thousands of feet away. As soon as he came to a stop, his physical body shattered. Sage White was dumbfounded. The old man sighed in his heart. This idiot. I told you to speak politely, but you just had to act cool. Is this good? His physical body is gone, right? In the distance, White Sage gazed at Qin Guan with disbelief, and he said with a trembling voice, You. What is that thing? Qin Guan spoke indifferently, hand it over. White Sage gulped, and then he asked. What, exactly is that? Qin Guan frowned slightly, and then she pointed her gun at White Sage. White Sage's expression instantly changed, and he hurriedly said, That sword isn't with me. Qin Guan was slightly displeased. Are you wasting my time? White Sage hurriedly said, That sword is in the hands of my Time Sect master. They're studying it. The Time Sect. Qin Guan turned to look at the old man. The old man hesitated for a moment before he said, The Time Sect is the #1 extraordinary power in the River of Time. Everyone in it is a time walker. Qin Guan gazed at White Sage. Ask your sect master to come out. White Sage hesitated for a moment before he said, Come with me. As soon as he finished speaking, he transformed into a ray of light that floated into the city. Qin Guan was about to walk over when the woman hurriedly said, "Pavilion Master Qin, I'm afraid it's a trap." Qin Guan blinked. "It better not be. Otherwise, I'll raze Time City to the ground." The woman with the sickle was speechless. It didn't take long for them to enter Time City. As soon as they entered, numerous terrifying pillars of light suddenly arose from the surroundings. A grand formation. The two of them instantly became vigilant. Qin Guan's brows knit together once more. Meanwhile, White Sage appeared once more, and there was a white-clothed old man in front of him. The white-clothed old man gazed at Qin Guan. "I'm the sect master of the Time sect. May I know your name?" Qin Guan spoke indifferently, "Qin Guan." The old man frowned slightly. "I've never heard of you." Qin Guan shook his head slightly. "Give that sword back to me." The old man stared at Qin Guan. "What if I say no?" Qin Guan sighed softly. She turned to look at Yi Xian with a puzzled expression. "Why?" Yi Xian was stunned. "What do you mean why?" Qin Guan shook her head. "Why don't they listen to me every time I speak to them nicely?" Yi Xian thought for a moment, and then said, "Next time, fire your spear before you speak to them. They should listen." Qin Guan nodded. "That makes sense." At this moment, the Time sect master suddenly said, "Your Excellency, this matter has nothing to do with you. Why do you have to stand out?" Qin Guan looked at the Time sect master. "You should be glad that he came to me. If he came to find someone else, the river of time would be gone." The Time sect master frowned. "What do you mean?" Qin Guan shook her head. "Don't waste time." As she spoke, she pointed her spear at the Time sect master. The latter's eyes narrowed slightly, and he suddenly vanished on the spot. Bang! A terrifying aura suddenly swept towards Qin Guan. He wanted to take the initiative to gain the upper hand. At this moment, Qin Guan suddenly pulled the trigger, and a white light surged out from the muzzle. Rumble! In front of Qin Guan, an afterimage retreated madly. This retreat was several tens of thousands of zhang away. It was the Time sect master. After the Time sect master stopped, the spacetime he was in turned pitch black. However, his physical body did not shatter. He had withstood it. Beside Qin Guan, the scythe-wielding woman and the old man beside her exchanged a glance. A trace of shock could be seen in their eyes. This Time sect master was quite powerful. In the distance, the Time sect master raised his head and looked at Qin Guan. There was a trace of seriousness in his eyes. "What are you holding?" Qin Guan's face was expressionless. She placed the spear back into the small pouch, but in the next moment, she took out a round object that looked like an egg. Yi Xian's eyelids twitched when he saw this, and he was about to retreat. Right at this moment, Qin Guan suddenly smiled and said, "Don't be afraid. You have my Tai Chi ring to protect you. It'll be fine." Yi Xian hesitated for a moment, and then he said, "Really?" Qin Guan nodded, and then she looked at the Time sect master. "Come, try its power." As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly tossed it away, and then she covered her ears with both hands. Everyone, in the distance, the Time sect master's pupils constricted. He suddenly pressed his palms together and roared furiously, "Time divine palm." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly slapped his palms forward. Bang! A terrifying time energy suddenly swept out from his palms, and then a huge palm print that was over 30,000 zhang long smashed directly towards the egg that Qin Guan had tossed out. Meanwhile, Qin Guan turned around to look at Yi Xian. "Cover your ears." Yi Xian hurriedly did as he was told. Rumble! Suddenly, a world-shaking explosion resounded. At this moment, everyone within the river of time heard this explosion, and countless experts actually started bleeding from all 7 apertures. As the explosion resounded, a mushroom cloud that was hundreds of thousands of meters tall suddenly rose into the air. In an instant, the entire time city was transformed into nothingness. Moreover, the boundless energy of time was shattered and obliterated at this moment. At this moment, the entire river of time was trembling like the ground was quaking. On the other hand, Yi Xian, Dao Ling, and the others were fine. Because the Tai Chi rings beneath their feet had actually forcefully blocked all the terrifying energy that had erupted from the explosion. The entire city of time had been completely obliterated. Countless experts within the city had either perished on the spot or been heavily injured. Everyone was stunned. As for the Time Sect Master and White Saint, they were still alive. The Time Sect Master's physical body had completely disappeared, and his soul was almost transparent. As for White Saint, he had been hiding behind the Time Sect Master just now. Thus, he had luckily escaped this calamity. That was because the Time Sect Master had used all his strength to block the power of the thing that Qin Guan had thrown out. At this moment, both of them were completely dumbfounded. Especially the Time Sect Master. He felt that his brain was not enough to process this. What was that thing just now? Qin Guan looked at the Time Sect Master and took out another, "Don't provoke me," pill from his cloth bag. Seeing this, the Time Sect Master and White Saint's expressions changed drastically. The Time Sect Master hurriedly said, "Your Excellency, that sword, we will return." Qin Guan frowned slightly. "Wouldn't it have been better if you had said so earlier? What's the point of forcing me to use force?" The Time Sect Master's expression froze. "Damn it! This daddy didn't know you were so powerful. If I had known you were so powerful, how would I have dared to attack you?" At this moment, he finally understood. The person in front of him was someone he could not afford to offend. Qin Guan spoke indifferently, "Take it out." The Time Sect Master hesitated for a moment before he said, "That sword isn't in my possession." Qin Guan flared up with rage when she heard this. "Are all of you playing tricks on me?" As soon as she finished speaking, she took out over 10 "Don't provoke me" pills from her cloth bag. The expressions of Yi Xian and the others changed when they witnessed this scene. Damn it! Not to mention the Time Sect Master, even they were slightly afraid of it. A single pill was already so terrifying, so what if a dozen were to explode at the same time? They didn't dare to imagine it. It was too terrifying. The Time Sect Master was terrified out of his wits, and he hurriedly said, "Miss, don't be angry. That sword is in the hands of a half-step time immortal of my time sect, and he's not too far away." Qin Guan's expression was quite unsightly. The Time Sect Master hesitated for a moment before he said, "Miss, should I go get him?" Qin Guan's face was expressionless. "He's already gone." The Time Sect Master was stunned. Meanwhile, Qin Guan suddenly said, "Someone." As soon as he finished speaking, the masked old man suddenly appeared by Qin Guan's side. Qin Guan spoke indifferently, "Issue a wanted order. I want the head of that half-step time immortal and 1,000,000 universe veins." The masked old man hesitated for a moment before he nodded. "All right." As soon as he finished speaking, he vanished without a trace. The Time Sect Master hesitated for a moment before he said, "Miss, that's useless. That senior is a half-step time immortal, and not many people in this world can kill him. Even if..." Suddenly, the space above them split apart, and then a bloody head and a sword slowly drifted out from within it. The Time Sect Master's pupils constricted, and he retreated repeatedly while his eyes were filled with shock. That head belonged to that half-step time immortal he spoke of. Yi Xian and the others were stunned as well. Is this the power of money? All of them were speechless. Chapter 2242. Needless to say, everyone here was completely stunned when they saw that head and sword appear. How long has it been? Less than 10 minutes. Meanwhile, an extremely blurry figure appeared not too far away from them. The expressions of all the experts here changed violently when they saw that figure. Danger. That was what they felt at this moment. Especially the sect master of the Time sect. He had an extremely solemn expression on his face, and there was even terror in his eyes. A half-step Time immortal was instantly killed just like that? In the distance, the figure looked at Qin Guan without saying a word. Qin Guan opened her palm, and a spatial ring flew over to the figure. The figure took the spatial ring and said, "Thank you." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and left. He hadn't taken a few steps when he suddenly stopped and said, "Pavilion Master Qin, do you have anyone else you want to kill? The price is negotiable." All the others were speechless. Qin Guan smiled, "Not for now." The figure nodded slightly, and then he vanished on the spot. Qin Guan opened her palm, and the sword flew into her grasp. After that, she returned it to Yi Xian. Yi Xian took it, and then he gazed at Saint White. The latter's expression changed, and he hurriedly said, "It's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding." Meanwhile, Qin Guan suddenly withdrew her gun and pulled the trigger. Bang! Saint White wasn't even able to react before he was obliterated. The expression of the sect master of the Time sect instantly changed drastically, and he turned around to flee. Meanwhile, Qin Guan fired once more. Rumble. The sect master of the Time sect was blasted into nothingness by a ray of white light. Instant annihilation. Qin Guan put her gun away and said, "Let's go." All of them left. The Time sect had been destroyed. Right when they were about to leave the river of time, she suddenly stopped, and then her brows knit together slightly as she turned around to look towards a certain direction. Yi Xian was quite curious as he stood by Qin Guan's side. "There's someone there?" Qin Guan nodded, "There's a Time immortal." Yi Xian frowned slightly, "A Time immortal?" Qin Guan nodded, "A Time immortal is quite formidable. Their body, heart, and soul have been tempered by the passage of time, and they're practically unaffected by it. So long as they don't court death, then they're practically unkillable." Yi Xian was quite curious, what about that mysterious person from before? Qin Guan smiled, "God Master Pardon doesn't cultivate the Tao of time, but something else. He should be on par with the Time immortal." Yi Xian frowned slightly. "You are practicing another type?" Qin Guan nodded. "There are many different types of cultivation paths in the world. The Tao of time is only one of them. There are many other types of cultivation paths. For example, there are some people who only cultivate the sword. Other than the sword, they don't care about anything else. However, when they cultivate the Tao of the sword to the pinnacle, they can use a single sword to destroy all sorts of techniques and Taos. There are also some, like martial arts. Some people practice martial arts and don't cultivate their realms, but she can reach the divine in martial arts and is invincible in her generation." Yi Xian nodded, "I see." At this time, they had left the river of time. Qin Guan looked at Yi Xian and smiled, "We're leaving." Yi Xian smiled, "Thank you." Qin Guan smiled, "It's no big deal." Then, she was about to leave when Yi Xian suddenly said, "Can you give me some of your immoral martial pills? I need them for self-defense." Qin Guan rolled her eyes at Yi Xian, "No." Yi Xian still wanted to say something, but Qin Guan took the scythe-wielding woman and the old man and disappeared at the end of the horizon. Yi Xian thought to himself that it was a pity. The power of that disregard for martial virtue was really extraordinary. At this time, Dao Ling suddenly said, "It's good to be rich." Yi Xian was silent. He had to admit that it was good to be rich. If he had enough money, he could kill anyone. Time veins. Even a terrifying expert like the Time Immortal couldn't resist the temptation of time veins. Dao Ling suddenly said, "Brother Yi, are we still going to the Shi clan?" Yi Xian nodded, "Yes." Dao Ling hesitated, and then said, "What if we can't beat them?" Yi Xian glanced at Dao Ling, "Run." Dao Ling. Moments later, the two of them disappeared. 2 hours later, the two of them killed their way to the Shi clan. When he saw Yi Xian and Dao Ling coming to the Shi clan again, Shi Qian's face instantly turned ugly. "They're here again." Yi Xian and Dao Ling exchanged a glance. In the next moment, Yi Xian suddenly opened his palm, and the green profound sword shot into the sky. Then, a 30,000-meter-long sword chi slashed down from the sky. Hiss! The sword chi slashed down and tore everything apart. Meanwhile, Dao Ling suddenly leaped up and activated his Dharma idol. He clenched his right fist and punched down at the Shi clan. Bang! A terrifying force swept down from the sky, and it seemed as if it wanted to shatter the heavens and the earth. It was extremely terrifying. After releasing these two terrifying attacks, the two of them turned around and fled. They were gone. Down below, the expressions of Shi Qian and the others were extremely unsightly. Shi Qian said ferociously, "Attack." As soon as he spoke, numerous powerful time realm experts shot into the sky and met the sword chi and the punch head-on. Rumble. In next to no time, the space above the Shi clan directly exploded apart, and two terrifying forces swept through the surroundings. The entire sky above the Shi clan was in a mess. After a long time, the sky above the Shi clan finally returned to normal. However, Yi Xian and Dao Ling were nowhere to be found. Down below, Shi Qian's expression was extremely gloomy. What the hell? Right at this moment, Shi Qian's pupils constricted. Watch out! As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly turned around, and an afterimage flashed over. It was Dao Ling. Dao Ling directly punched at Shi Qian. It was swift like lightning, and its powerful force directly shattered the surrounding space. Shi Qian reacted extremely quickly, and he raised his arms to block before him. Rumble. Shi Qian was directly knocked back several thousand zhang by Dao Ling's punch. As soon as he retreated, several afterimages charged at Dao Ling. In the distance, Shi Qian suddenly roared, "Be careful of that Yi Xian hiding in the shadows." Yi Xian. As soon as Shi Qian's voice fell, a sword light suddenly appeared in the distance. Not far away, the pupils of a time realm expert of the Shi clan suddenly constricted. He stomped his right foot and retreated explosively. However, that sword light suddenly disappeared. This time realm expert was stunned. In the next instant, a miserable scream suddenly sounded from the side. He turned around and saw that not far away, the head of a time realm expert who was fighting with Dao Ling had directly flown into the air, making a feint. In the distance, Shi Qian roared, "Hurry up and protect his soul." As soon as he finished speaking, he directly rushed over to stop Yi Xian from destroying the time realm expert's soul. However, right at this moment, the profound green sword directly absorbed the time realm expert's soul. At the same time, Yi Xian and Dao Ling both retreated explosively, putting some distance between them and Shi Qian and the others. Shi Qian was stunned, and then he looked at the distant Yi Xian and said fiercely, "Yi Xian." Yi Xian hurriedly said, "Let's stop here. We'll come again next time. Farewell." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and fled. Dao Ling was stunned, and then he hurriedly turned around and flew away as well. He had just fought passionately, and he wanted to continue fighting. However, after thinking about it carefully, he realized that he couldn't. If he continued fighting, he would be beaten to death. He could only resort to guerrilla warfare and sneak attacks. Steal two heads, and then run. Seeing the two of them flee, the Shi clan experts by Shi Qian's side were about to give chase, but they were stopped by Shi Qian. Everyone looked at Shi Qian. Shi Qian shook his head. Chasing after them is disadvantageous to us. Hearing this, the expressions of the Shi clan experts became somewhat unsightly. If they fought head-on, they would definitely be able to kill Yi Xian and Dao Ling. However, the problem was that these two fellows never fought head-on. They played dirty. They used sneak attacks. How shameless. All the experts of the Shi clan had extremely unsightly expressions on their faces. Meanwhile, Shi Qian suddenly said, "Have you found Shi Tian?" Shi Tian. All of them instantly became excited when they heard this. Only monstrous geniuses can deal with monstrous geniuses. Meanwhile, an old man suddenly said, "I've found him." However, Shi Qian spoke softly, "Is he unwilling to return?" The old man replied, "He's breaking through." Breaking through. Shi Qian was stunned, and then he said, "Hasn't he attained the Age Realm?" When he spoke up to this point, he suddenly turned around to gaze at the old man, and his voice trembled as he spoke, "He's still breaking through despite being at the Age Realm?" The old man nodded. "Yes." Shi Qian suddenly roared with laughter, "The heavens haven't destroyed my Shi clan. The heavens haven't destroyed my Shi clan. Ha ha ha." All the experts of the Shi clan started laughing as well, and the gloominess from before had been swept away. Needless to say, they really were quite afraid of Yi Xian and Dao Ling. Both of them were extraordinary monstrous geniuses. If they continued to target the Shi clan, then it would truly be quite difficult for them to resist. Moreover, their natural talent was so terrifying, and they would only grow stronger if the battle continued. Fortunately, the Shi clan had Shi Tian. Meanwhile, Shi Qian suddenly said, "Come, let's go see Shi Tian." As soon as he finished speaking, he led the experts of the Shi clan along and vanished on the spot. On the other side of the starry sky, Yi Xian and Dao Ling had stopped, and then they turned around to make sure that the experts of the Shi clan weren't pursuing them. After that, they immediately entered Xiao Ta's body. Dao Ling spoke solemnly, "The Shi clan actually didn't pursue them." Yi Xian chuckled, "They aren't stupid after all." Dao Ling gazed at Yi Xian, "Brother Yi, what do you plan to do next?" Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, "We still have to develop for a while." Dao Ling hurriedly nodded, "Right." Yi Xian suddenly opened his palm, and then a spatial ring flew over to Dao Ling. There were 10,000 universe veins within the spatial ring. Dao Ling glanced at Yi Xian, and then he instantly started laughing, "Brother Yi, how could I accept this?" As he spoke, he hurriedly put away the spatial ring. Yi Xian was a little speechless, and then he said seriously, "If we want to cultivate, we have to first get more universe veins." Dao Ling nodded in agreement. After reaching the time realm, their need for universe veins was simply too great. Even if they wanted to cultivate, they couldn't do it without universe veins. Moreover, after every battle, they had to absorb universe veins to recover. Without universe veins, it was simply too difficult. Yi Xian said softly, "I have an idea." Dao Ling hurriedly said, "All right." Yi Xian looked at Dao Ling, "You didn't even ask me what the idea is before you agreed?" Dao Ling said seriously, "The idea that Brother Yi came up with is definitely excellent. In any case, whatever you say, will do. You come up with the brains, and I'll put in the effort. Both of us brothers will get rich together, big money." Yi Xian. P.S. Sorry, something happened in the morning that delayed the update. There's one more thing. Please forgive me. Chapter 2243. 2 hours later, Yi Xian and Dao Ling arrived at a branch of the Celestial Treasure Pavilion in the Universe of Universe. If he wanted time veins, then he had to go to the Celestial Treasure Pavilion. As soon as he arrived, the masked old man appeared before him. Yi Xian was slightly stunned, and then he said, "Senior?" The old man said, "Young Master Yi, did you come for time veins?" Yi Xian nodded. The old man hesitated for a moment and said, "Young Master Yi, the pavilion master has time veins. We don't have them as well. If you want them, then you can go look for the pavilion master." He didn't want to deal with Yi Xian anymore. He was too sly. Yi Xian smiled, "Senior, you've misunderstood. I'm here to sell my blood." Hearing this, the masked elder was stunned. Dao Ling, who was beside him, was also stunned. Yi Xian opened his palm, and a drop of blood essence floated out. Yi Xian spoke seriously, "Senior, how many time veins do you think I can sell this bloodline for?" The masked old man fell silent for a moment before he said, "Young Master Yi, your bloodline is very terrifying. But, do you really intend to sell your blood?" Yi Xian nodded. "Yes." Dao Ling suddenly said, "Brother Yi, the method you spoke of just now was to sell your blood?" Yi Xian nodded. "What else? Do you think I'll change? Or rob it? Even if I do, I might not be able to win." He noticed that practically all experts who possess time veins were at the Year Realm, and there weren't many Year Realm experts. Unless he went to rob Qin Guan, then he would definitely become rich overnight. But the problem was that he couldn't win. Meanwhile, the masked old man said, "Young Master Yi, do you really intend to sell your blood?" Yi Xian was quite speechless. "Senior, do I look like I'm joking?" The masked old man hesitated for a moment and said, "According to my knowledge, young Master Yi has backing. Why don't you ask for it from your family?" Yi Xian instantly felt sad. Damn it. Ask my family for some? Looking for his father? Forget it. Rather than looking for his father, it was better to look for his sister. But he really didn't want to bother Qing'er with such a small matter. Moreover, Qing might not have it, but if he wanted it, Qing would definitely be able to get it. But if she did, it would probably cost someone's life. It was better to do it himself. The masked old man suddenly nodded slightly, "Young Master Yi, your bloodline is very special. If you sell it, a single drop can be sold for at least 10 universe veins." Yi Xian suddenly flew into a rage. 10? Are you sure? 10? The masked old man hesitated for a moment before he said, "Perhaps not yet." Yi Xian's face immediately darkened. "Senior, are you joking with me?" The masked old man smiled bitterly. "Why would I joke with you? Young Master Yi, your bloodline is indeed very special, but time veins are very rare. Let me be frank with you, our celestial treasure pavilion has less than 10,000 of them. As for some rogue time realm experts, they wouldn't have more than 10 of them." Yi Xian frowned slightly. "So little?" The masked old man nodded. "Yes. Time veins are really rare." Yi Xian and Dao Ling exchanged a glance. Zhou clan's Zhou Yu had given them 20,000 at once. That was already extraordinarily generous. Yet the two of them felt that it was too little. In an instant, the two of them felt slightly ashamed. At this moment, the masked old man suddenly said, "Young Master Yi, are you selling it?" Yi Xian shook his head. "I'm not selling it." He couldn't waste his bloodline. After all, it was his father's mad demon bloodline. Unless he had a lot of money, he would absolutely not waste it. The masked old man nodded slightly and didn't say anything else. Yi Xian suddenly asked, "Senior, can't we borrow money from the Celestial Treasure Pavilion? Can I borrow some?" The masked old man immediately shook his head. "No." Yi Xian frowned slightly. "Why?" The masked old man smiled bitterly. "Young Master Yi, if you want time veins, you can look for the pavilion master. There are many pavilion masters. Our small branch really doesn't have many. Don't have any ideas about us." Yi Xian, after a short while, Yi Xian and Dao Ling left. The masked old man sighed softly. This young Master Yi is really pitiful. He's actually reduced to selling his blood. But why don't I feel any sympathy for him? Instead, I feel like laughing. Huh. After leaving the Celestial Treasure Pavilion, Yi Xian and Dao Ling walked through the starry sky dejectedly. Yi Xian never thought that he would be in such a difficult situation. He actually lacked money. Both of them had tried to absorb the time power of the River of Time, but they needed sufficient spiritual energy to support it. Their cultivation required a terrifying amount of spiritual energy. At this moment, they finally understood why some time realm experts found it difficult to improve. They needed money to improve. Without money, they could only slowly endure until they died. Dao Ling suddenly said, "Brother Yi, what should we do?" Yi Xian thought for a moment, and then he seemed to have thought of something. He suddenly opened his palm, and a spatial ring appeared in his hand. A profound ring. This was what his mother had left for him. Until now, he still hadn't discovered the use of this ring. Meanwhile, Xiao Ta suddenly said, "Xiao Ta, you can try activating this ring." Yi Xian frowned slightly. In the next moment, the profound energy within his body surged, and the profound ring actually started to tremble slightly. Yi Xian was shocked when he saw this. What the fuck? It really works. But it didn't take long for the profound ring to become calm again. There was nothing. A wisp of confusion flashed through Yi Xian's eyes. What's going on? At this moment, the spacetime in front of Yi Xian suddenly trembled. Both Yi Xian and Dao Ling's expressions changed slightly when they witnessed this scene. Right at this moment, space suddenly split open, and an old man slowly walked out. The old man had a slightly hunched back, and he wore a large black robe. Moreover, he held a walking stick in his right hand. A wisp of shock flashed through both Yi Xian and Dao Ling's eyes when they saw the hunched old man. They were actually unable to sense the old man's aura. The hunched old man walked slowly towards Yi Xian and bowed slightly. "Gu Chuan greets young master." Yi Xian hesitated for a moment before he said, "You're one of my mother's people?" Gu Chuan nodded, "Yes." Yi Xian hurriedly asked, "Where's my mother?" Gu Chuan replied, "Very far, very far. Very far." Yi Xian frowned. Meanwhile, Gu Chuan said, "Master asked me to pass a message to young master." Yi Xian asked, "What is it?" Gu Chuan spoke solemnly, "Master said that it's not good for her to interfere in the battle for karmic luck. It isn't just her, even young master's father isn't in a good position to interfere. Moreover, even though Lord Mandate of Heaven is suppressing that fellow in the Milky Way, she's only suppressing him. Because even she has no choice but to suppress him." Yi Xian was puzzled, "Why?" Gu Chuan hesitated for a moment and said, "Master didn't explain in detail. She only said that it's related to you." Yi Xian fell silent. Gu Chuan continued, "Master said that the battle for karmic luck is very important to you, and it's the best opportunity for you to prove yourself." Yi Xian was about to speak when space suddenly split apart. A moment later, an ocean appeared before Yi Xian's eyes, and there was a woman standing at the edge of the ocean. Qing-er. Qing-er's sudden appearance stunned Yi Xian. On the other hand, a wisp of fear flashed through Gu Chuan's eyes, and he bent his body and moved aside. Meanwhile, Qing-er suddenly turned around to look at Yi Xian. "Are you confident in your ability to win the battle for karmic luck?" Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, "What will happen if I'm not?" Qing-er's expression was calm, "Nothing will happen. I'll kill all your opponents on your behalf." Yi Xian was speechless. Meanwhile, Dao Ling instantly broke out in cold sweat. "Damn it! What the f***ck?" Yi Xian laughed bitterly, "That isn't a good idea, right?" Qing-er gazed at Yi Xian, "There's nothing bad about it. Don't listen to that young fellow's nonsense. He suffered in his past life, so he wants you to suffer just like he did. Remember, you're you, and you should live according to your own thoughts. Live however you please, and I'll always be standing behind you. Yi Xian shook his head and smiled. Qing, if you do this, I'll get lazy. Qing said, it's okay, I'll support you. Yi Xian, Dao Ling's expression froze. At this time, Qing suddenly said, if you want to fight for it, you can try it yourself. Yi Xian said solemnly, I want to try it myself. Qing looked at Yi Xian, are you serious? Yi Xian nodded, I'm serious. This time, I don't want you to interfere. No matter how strong the enemy is, I'll face it myself. Qing wanted to say something, but stopped. Yi Xian asked, Qing what are you trying to say? Qing thought for a moment, then said, brother, are you sure you want to fight for it yourself? Yi Xian nodded, everyone says that I'm the king of reliance. This time, I want to fight for it myself. Qing nodded, okay. Yi Xian suddenly said, I heard that you're suppressing the Daobi. Qing nodded. Yi Xian blinked, is it trying to mess with me? Qing nodded, sort of. Yi Xian was puzzled, what is it trying to mess with me? Qing said calmly, all living things have their own paths of fate. The Dao brush is only the operator of these paths of fate. It's not the controller of fate. She shook her head, then continued, a person's fate can be good or bad. It wants to manipulate your bad fate. Yi Xian was puzzled, what do you mean? Qing was silent. Brother, how can I explain this to you? Qing thought for a long time, then said, a flower has its time to bloom, but it also has its time to wither. Whether it blooms or withers, it's its fate. Yi Xian frowned, so, it wants to mess with me? Qing nodded. Yi Xian was furious, what the hell is it trying to do? I have no quarrel with it, why does it want to mess with me? The Daobi was speechless. Qing hesitated, then said, when a flower withers, a man will die. This is in line with the Tao, all living things should be the same. In your fate, there are good times and bad times. I suppressed it, not letting it run its tragic fate. Yi Xian was struck dumb. Then he said, so, we broke the rules? Qing nodded, yes. Yi Xian's expression froze. In a small house somewhere in the Milky Way, a sorrowful voice suddenly sounded, damn it, everyone thinks I'm the bad one, but they don't know I'm the victim. It's the brother and sister who broke the rules, destroyed the Tao brush. Ah. P.S. Sorry again. Next time, I'll try to update the first day, or else I'll be delayed by something unexpected. Sorry. Chapter 2244. Needless to say, the brush of the great Tao was truly aggrieved right now. Just as the will of the heavens had said, everything in the world had its own destiny, and it couldn't be said to be completely predetermined. However, fate was divided into good and bad. There were good times and bad times for a person. It was the same for Yi Xian. However, the will of the heavens had suppressed it and prevented it from writing Yi Xian's bad destiny. It was like a blooming flower that didn't wither when it was time to wither. That was going against the grand Tao. However, it couldn't complain at all. Moreover, the will of the heavens made it seem like it was in the wrong. It was simply too aggrieving. Qing stood silently at the seaside. Her dress fluttered lightly as the sea breeze blew against her. At this moment, the world before her seemed to pale in comparison. Qing suddenly spoke softly, I've suppressed it, but I've changed your destiny at the same time. That's actually not very good. Because a person will only cherish sweetness after suffering in life. But in this life, I don't want you to suffer too much. Yi Xian's heart felt slightly warm when he heard this. Needless to say, Qing's kindness to him was truly indescribable. As if he'd thought of something, Yi Xian hurriedly asked, if you hadn't interfered, then my destiny would have been predetermined by the brush of the great Tao from the beginning, right? Qing shook her head. No. The destiny of all living beings is a process and not a predetermined outcome. You have countless choices during this process, and every single one of your choices will determine your destiny in the future. She hesitated for a moment when she spoke up to this point, and then she said, "Do you understand what I mean? If you don't, then I can explain it in detail for you." Yi Xian was speechless. Qing continued, "It's like two students in the mortal world. One student studies hard while the other is ignorant and idle all day long. Their lives in the future will be completely different." Yi Xian was a little puzzled. "But Qing, you just said that flowers will wither. In that case, from the moment a flower is born, it will wither one day. Doesn't this mean that its fate has already been decided?" Qing thought for a moment and said, "We are talking about the process of fate. What you are talking about is the ending. It is a question beyond fate." Yi Xian was a little curious. A problem beyond fate? What is it? Qing hesitated for a moment and said, "Let's talk about fate first." Yi Xian was speechless. At the side, Dao Ling suddenly said, "I have a question." Qing looked at Dao Ling coldly. Dao Ling's expression changed drastically and his hair stood on end. What the hell? At this moment, he seemed to see death. Dao Ling was shocked. He quickly said, I'm fine." Qing withdrew her gaze and looked at Yi Xian. She said gently, "Is there anything else you don't understand?" Dao Ling's expression froze. Isn't the difference in treatment too huge? Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, "I feel that fate is unfair. Take birth for example. Some people are born with things that others can't get in a lifetime." Qing nodded. "What you are talking about isn't just about fate. It is also about karmic luck. The karmic luck of the great path." Yi Xian frowned. "The karmic luck of the great path?" Qing nodded slightly. "To put it simply, nothing is absolutely fair. An ordinary person needs a little bit of karmic luck besides their own hard work to get a good result. But some people are born with a golden spoon in their mouths. This is their own karmic luck." Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, "Qing, I was born as your brother. Is this karmic luck of the great path?" Qing nodded. "Yes." Then, she looked at Yi Xian and smiled. "It is also my karmic luck." Yi Xian thought for a moment and said, "In that case, this Dedeabi seems to be treating us well." Somewhere in a room, Dedeabi suddenly roared. "Did you just realize that now?" Qing continued, "Karmic luck is illusory. It does exist, but you can't see it. The reason I didn't kill it is because it is only operating your fate and giving you karmic luck. Of course, the most important thing is that it doesn't want to kill you. It just wants to make things harder for you, more bitter." Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, "Does it think I'm living too comfortably?" Qing nodded. Yi Xian was a little displeased. "I used to live a miserable life." Qing thought for a moment and said, "I don't think it was that miserable." Yi Xian was speechless. Qing said softly, "It is difficult to achieve the great path without going through great hardships. The path of cultivation is to cultivate the heart, and cultivating the heart is like forging a sword. How can a piece of iron become a sword if it is not tempered 1,000 times?" Yi Xian looked at Qing and said in a low voice, "Qing, you must have suffered a lot to get to where you are today, right?" Looking at Yi Xian, Qing said, "The hardest days for me are the days when you are not with me. Every day is hell for me." Yi Xian was speechless. At the side, Dao Ling suddenly felt a little envious. Damn it! Why didn't he have a sister? Qing said, "Yang said you are too flashy, but I don't think so. Brother, you don't have to listen to his nonsense. In terms of cultivation, he and the other swordsmen are both idiots. Big idiots. As she spoke, her expression gradually turned cold. She was obviously unhappy with some of the green-robed man's actions. Yi Xian was speechless. Qing continued, the path of cultivation is about the true self. What is the true self? It is the true self. Your personality is just like that. Why would you change yourself when you have a choice? There are many people in the world who live according to the requirements of others. Just like in this Milky Way, some people are told by their parents from the moment they are born what kind of person they want to be, what they have to do and so on. She shook her head slightly. Many people live according to the will of others from a young age and lose their true self. This kind of life is like a puppet. They are busy all their lives and completely lose themselves. They lose their true self. Dao Ling suddenly said in a low voice, "Senior, I don't think that's right. I think it's not a bad thing for your parents to make you become. Take me for example. When I was born, my parents told me to work hard to become the next clan leader of the Dao clan and avenge the clan. Although it's a burden, it's also a responsibility." Qing looked at Dao Ling, "You are told to live like that because you have no choice. But my brother has a choice. Do you understand?" Hearing this, Dao Ling's expression froze. He felt as though there were thousands of horses galloping in his heart. He decided not to speak anymore. He was afraid that he would die of anger if he continued. Qing looked at Yi Xian. "You are not young. You don't have to live according to his wishes. He has suffered, so he wants you to suffer as well. His mentality is abnormal and unhealthy." Yi Xian was slightly embarrassed when he heard this. "Qing seems to have a strong opinion of my father." Qing continued, "He has experienced great suffering and finally attained the Tao. He thinks that you should do the same. But he doesn't realize that not everyone needs to use such a method to attain the Tao. Cultivating the Tao is about cultivating the heart. Suffering and hardship can temper the heart, but it isn't the only way. There are other ways to temper the heart as well." Yi Xian asked hurriedly, "What other ways?" Qing thought for a moment and said, "I haven't noticed anything for now." Yi Xian's face froze, and then he shook his head and smiled. Qing is quite mischievous at times. Qing continued, "In short, just be yourself." Yi Xian nodded slightly. "I understand." As he spoke, he gazed at Qing and smiled. "Qing, you don't have to suppress the brush of the Grand Tao anymore. I want to see what I'll be like without you to suppress it." Qing gazed at Yi Xian. "Are you sure?" Yi Xian nodded and spoke seriously, "I'll live my life in my own way from now on. However, I want to experience great suffering and hardship as well. Of course, I want to see if I'll be able to live a good life without your help." Qing remained silent for a long time before she said, "All right." As soon as she finished speaking, she opened her palm, and the walking sword suddenly left. The brush in the room heaved a sigh of relief. Since the sword had appeared in the room, it had been living in fear every single day. It was deeply afraid that the slightest dissatisfaction would cause it to be stabbed. Qing gazed at Yi Xian and asked, "Big brother, are you sure?" Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, "Qing, you're asking me twice in a row. I'm suddenly panicking." Qing said, "You can still go back on your word now." Yi Xian smiled and said, "There's no need." Qing nodded. "All right. I believe you." As soon as she finished speaking, her body gradually became illusory. As if she'd thought of something, Qing suddenly opened her palm, and the green profound sword in Yi Xian's hand and Xiao Ta within his body suddenly appeared in her palm. Yi Xian's expression instantly changed slightly when he witnessed this scene. "Qing, are you going to take back my green profound sword and Xiao Ta?" Qing nodded. Yes. Of course, I can refuse to take them if you don't want to. Yi Xian remained silent for a long time before he said, take them back. He agreed. Qing nodded slightly. Big brother, take care. As soon as she finished speaking, her body gradually became illusory, and the seaside gradually became blurry. Yi Xian was slightly curious. Qing, what are you going to do now? Qing said, I'm going to talk to the other one. Yi Xian hurriedly asked, the one who's even stronger than the great Dao brush? Qing nodded. Yi Xian hesitated for a moment and said, can you beat him? Qing smiled faintly. Big brother, do you know how strong your little sister is now? Yi Xian shook his head. Qing blinked. Saying that I'm invincible is a bit too humble. Yi Xian. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.